Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Weeb Seen It Podcast. This is episode number 19. As always, I'm Cam.
I'm Jimmy.
And so today we're going to be talking about pretty much the same episodes we've been talking about for the past couple weeks.
I think we're subbing out one. We're swapping out Horimiya for Quintessential Quintuplets this
Yeah,
week.
which we said we'd do every now and then. It's not that the Horimi episode certainly wasn't bad. We just get to pick between those two and just see which ones we're feeling like talking about more. And Quintessential Quintuplets had a pretty good episode.
A little bit more plot development as opposed to character development.
Yeah, some stuff that actually really matters. Horimiya had really good character development in this episode, but there's not much to talk about when it comes to that, at least. As always, too, we have the big shows like Attack on Titan, ReZero. Apparently, Kumodesu is a big one.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, so last week we did mention that we were going to be hitting 100 subs soon, and we did hit 100 subs, so that's fantastic. I know it doesn't seem like much, but it still is
it's a huge starting point.
It's a number that we weren't 100% sure if we'd get to, so that's really good. So thank you very much if you've already subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, of course, subscribe, like, comment, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we appreciate any interaction, but the subs have actually been pretty crazy because we've gone up 40 just from the last episode.
Well, yeah, I think the first 2 episodes ago we went up, I think, like 32 or something like that, and the last one we went up like 20 or something like that. So
okay.
We were at forever underneath like the 50 mark, and then all of a sudden for the last 2 episodes, just a crazy stretch. I think our most recent episode has also beat the episode before that as the best performing. So most comments, the watch time, all that kind of stuff's up, which is fantastic. If we get to the day soon where each episode has like 1K views, that's going to be crazy cool. Because it was only like a month ago we were getting like 40 to 50. And now at least we're in that 700 range, which is pretty sweet.
It's crazy. I didn't expect it to go this quickly, I guess.
Yeah, and I really like the comments because some people in there, like in our last episode, one guy went on being like, hey, there's not enough anime podcasts out there that exclusively talk about anime, which I get. Like I'm a huge fan of like Trash Taste podcast, but they're at like 30 episodes, and I think they've talked about anime maybe 3 times. So I like it as just a guy who likes watching podcasts. I do it when I'm not busy. But if I wanted to keep up on like weekly anime, I get the fact that there's not many options out there. There are a lot that cover very specific ones. Like there's the Attack on Titan one I watch all the time with the 3 people. There's the 2 guys and the girl, and they always dress up in the cosplay.
Yeah.
I commented on one of the most recent videos, and they commented back, which was pretty cool. But there's not many that just cover a bunch weekly. And it might just be because a lot of people aren't keeping up weekly these days.
It's true. It's kind of hard to pick and choose because especially with how many shows have come out this season that are just amazing to watch, keeping up with an entire list is kind of a bit much for some people. So
a lot of people didn't like 2020's anime selection very much either. So that I think a lot of people kind of fell out of it there. Plus, it was like a weird time for the world. But I think 2021 so far has obviously started off really, really well with the winter season being a crazy good season.
This season's been a bit of a banger. I can't think of anything I've been watching that I might drop. I'm going to get around to all of them at some point.
Yeah. I think I haven't watched the most recent 2 episodes of King's Raid.
I watched not the most recent one, but the one before that.
And I don't think I've watched this week's episode of Other Side Picnic. I will watch it. I liked the one before. Yeah. It's just that I haven't watched it yet. This week was a little bit busier. But yeah, it's just been really nice seeing the progression on our videos, a little bit more views and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're watching this and you haven't subbed yet, of course do that. We were going to do a Q&A for when we hit the 100 subs. We're still going to do that. It's just going to take a little bit longer. We're just trying to get more questions. So if you're watching this, even if you're just watching one part, if you're only here for Kumodesu, if you're only here for Quintessential Quintuplets, you could still hop in the comments, leave us a question. I don't need some sort of like deep, at which moment in your life did you finally feel alive kind of question. You can say, hey, what's your favorite anime series ongoing right now? What's your favorite of all time? Who's the best girl of all time? Like, it could be anything at all.
Yeah, just whatever pops into your head. Just drop in the comments. We'll answer it.
Yeah, we did get a couple people left us some pretty good ones and just a few comments. It doesn't have to be just one. It could be as many as you want. And then, we're just going to make a little, maybe like 20, 30-minute long video of us just answering that, just for all the new subs to get to know us a little bit better.
Yeah.
I think other than that, we're going to move on to the episode if you're good.
I think we're good, yeah.
Okay, let's crack open our non-sponsored energy drinks as always. Okay, and we're back. So we're going to start off, I think, pretty much the same as every week. Have we been starting off with ReZero since it's restarted?
I want to say yes, because I think it's the first one that drops.
It is. I think one week we had like a weird reverse one where we started with Attack on Titan instead.
I think that was just because we had literally just finished watching it and we just had it fresh in our mind.
That's true. But yeah, this week we're going to start off with ReZero. So it's ReZero episode number 41.
Nobody can lift a queen stone alone.
Okay, so this was a big, another like emotional payoff kind of episode. You did get a little bit of action in there.
Yeah, we also got a lot of... It dived really into Garfield. That was the big one in this episode.
Yeah, which, I mean, is kind of important because we had a lot of questions about him. Obviously, he's a little bit of a troubled youth.
Yeah.
We didn't know how much of a youth until this episode.
Yeah, I was not expecting that particular drop.
Yeah,
but,
he is. He's only 14 years old, so he's a little youngin.
I mean, it kind of explains a lot about him.
But is he 14 in cat years though? That's the question.
I mean, that would make it like what 2? So no, I'm hoping not.
But you know, a lot of his backstory, we obviously get to see why he's always so, you know, angry, so upset. A lot of it stems down to his mother leaving him, or what he thought was his mother leaving him, and then, you know, finding out that she immediately died. So he was basically saying that he's okay with his mother leaving him because, you know, she wanted to live a happier life, and he can't blame her for that.
Yeah.
But then because she died anyway, he's just like, what the fuck's the point? You know, what's the point of life?
You left me alone. You died before you got to be happy. But we found out exactly how true all that was this episode as well.
Yeah, now a lot of it can be obviously broken down pretty fast. For the most part, his story was, you know, they're separate. So he's half, and his sister is a quarter, I think, because they have different fathers.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously the sister and the mom being completely human, they could leave. They could leave the sanctuary.
Yeah.
You know, Garfield cannot. So
Yeah.
he just thinks his mom leaves because, you know, she can't live a happy life having, you know, being forced to be staying inside the sanctuary. But really, she decided to leave to find his father.
Yeah.
You know, it's understandable. We don't know what kind of guy he is. I'm sure we probably never will. I don't know if that's like a story they're going to progress.
I mean, that's one of those cards that might play way down the line, but I don't think it's going to come up anytime this season.
Well, because the thing is, are you trying to tell me that his mom just had sex with like a tiger? Because for him to be half would technically mean that his mom would have to be a full human and his dad would have to be a full beast. So if his dad was a half beast, then he would still only be a quarter. That's he'd be able to leave the sanctuary.
Unless, I guess the mom would be a half either. Unless it's a specific race that can transform.
Maybe. I'm just picturing that his mom had sex with like a weird tiger demon.
Because I don't think he's half tiger. I think he's half of a specific race.
The Garfield race. The cats who like lasagna. There is no way they did not think about that while naming him. They've named him one letter away from probably the most famous like cartoon cat of all time, of which he shares a very similar color scheme of too.
I mean, I get what you're saying.
There's no way that wasn't. I cannot believe that's a coincidence. Everyone in the world knows Garfield, and they're like, hey, what if we just take away the D? You know?
I don't know. Does Garfield have a lot of like depth in Japan? Like, is he?
I mean, you don't know what has depth in Japan. Obviously, this is the Christmas season now, or we're just finishing the New Year season, and there's the whole thing with like fucking KFC over there. True. But have like all like the percentage is like 83% of Japanese families eats like KFC for dinner. That's like deep to them. Maybe Garfield is deep to them too. Who knows?
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, either way, a very Garfield centric episode. A lot of it has to do with him, you know, bonding with Subaru to an extent. Like Subaru always makes friends wherever he goes, right? Just takes him a little while.
Yeah, they went with the very shonen. We're gonna have a fight.
We're gonna fight at our problems.
Deeper.
Now, one big reveal is when Subaru hit him with the fist. Hit him with the what does he call it?
The unseen fist. Did he call it Divergent Fist?
He might have, yeah.
Because I know that's from Jujutsu Kaisen, but I feel like he said something similar when
he did. Well, what did the fucking Basil Goose or his name call it originally? Because it was pretty close to that.
Oh, I can't remember.
Because it's the exact same power. He just obviously only has one right now. Well, he had like, you know, 10 or something.
I can't remember. I feel like it was something like Unseen Hand, but
yeah, that's kind of a big deal. You know, he does it like he's you know, just learning this technique, and he uses it last second just to uppercut Garfield.
Yeah.
And then immediately I think he like throws up a little bit.
He does, yeah. He uses like, well, that sucked. That's a shitty reveal.
But yeah, I mean that has. I guess it's not like a secret, obviously, that he is something to do with the witch's cult, but the fact that he's just using that, I guess the other people couldn't see it, so maybe they didn't understand that Basil Geister, his name, was using the same power, but I mean, still kind of sus.
They just know that Garfield got sucker punched by something you couldn't see.
Yeah,
so.
Even Garfield did not question that enough. Subaru just stood there, and he just got uppercutted, and no one was like, wait, how'd you do that?
I mean, I think the big question is, like, they know that he can use darkness magic. They know he can do... I guess that's about all he can do as far as they know.
Yeah, he can just use Shamak and that pretty much. And he's kind of shit at everything else. He learned a little bit of sword fighting from the old man. So he got that going for him, maybe eventually.
So like maybe they just assumed he picked the technique up somewhere, or like, I mean, Garfield's seen people throw ice spears around, shit like that.
That's true. He also seen himself get attacked by like animals and bugs from someone that he thought had no power.
That's probably the least weird thing that happened to him that day.
I mean, it's not even that would be that weird, but from someone like Otto, you just assume they're such a weakling, and then all of a sudden they come out with this, you know, cool power of controlling animals. That's kind of surprising. Yeah,
not to mention Otto was throwing freaking bombs at him.
Yeah. I mean, Otto was kind of a badass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone drew enough attention to that. The fact they just started pulling out these little red spheres that just blew up.
Yeah, I mean, he's a merchant. Maybe he bought them somewhere.
I mean, I feel like they would have come up at some point.
No. There was never. I mean, the thing is, we've seen Otto get in all this trouble, but we've never seen him think like, did he even try talking to the whale? That's kind of an animal.
You're gonna ask Nez, did he try talking to the rabbits?
Well, I
when
mean,
they showed up?
yeah, but we didn't see him deal with the rabbit specifically. We know he would have been there and would have been one of the people that would have been eaten by them.
Yeah, so we know that didn't work.
Well, maybe he didn't even try it. He's so scared to use his power, right? Because of what happened. He took this timeline right now of being friends with Subaru to actually you want to use it again.
I mean, yeah, but I feel like if a rabbit starts eating you, you might think, okay, I have to use this now.
maybe I don't know. Who knows?
I think we're a little off track though.
Yeah, it was a good episode. A lot of character development, obviously, a lot to do with Garfield. Still some Subaru stuff, like as I said, that his new technique and more with Amelia. Now there was one thing that worried me. So obviously there's something called a death flag in most things. Now death flags in ReZero probably mean less because he comes back and stuff like that. But we've discussed how we do not want this timeline to be undone. This is like the perfect timeline right now.
There was a couple death
the
flags.
part where Amelia said that they're going to talk about basically talk about their relationship once once they finish this, like once she gets back from the trial.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh fuck, like that's not good.
Like, do you remember that episode of Fire Force where they just showed like three separate guys with death flags
Oh
and
my
immediately
God.
get guffed?
Yeah, they're like, look at this guy. He wanted shoes. Do you think he's gonna get shoes? Fuck no, he's not. He's dead.
I had a flashback to that the moment she said that. I'm like, oh god, no.
Yeah, she basically gave him like. Now, to be fair, it wasn't as let's talk-ish as you'd think. It didn't sound completely negative.
Oh, definitely. It was like, hey, remember what we did before? Yeah, I want to discuss that because that meant a lot to me.
Yeah, but just by saying that, it just feels very unlikely that they're going to discuss
especially considering
that.
what she was going in for.
Yeah,
I mean, even Garfield had a little bit of a death flag with his little moment with Ram. So
that's true, but I feel like we knew that Garfield would be a little bit more important. But I wonder in future arcs and seasons if that's really going to go anywhere. Like, I wonder if he's going to try and if they're going to try and keep him as part of like the crew. Because this show very much seems to like swap people out, right? Like it's not like
that is true.
You're not establishing like a long forming party. You're swapping out characters depending on who's needed for certain character growth and stuff.
I mean, yes, but I think a part of it as well is he's forming alliances. He's forming kind of an extended group. I think it's all going to come together in the end whenever they deal with the final conflict that this series has. So.
Probably. It's like, I was going to say it's like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but you haven't played that yet. But it's very much a game about going around building alliances in any order you want so that when you eventually get to the end, you can call on however many you've done. And those people will make it easier based on how many people you have.
Yeah.
Right? Even stuff with like, I don't think they'd really matter too much with like Amelia's election because, a lot of people don't really care for half-breeds. So I don't know how much it would help. I don't know if they even get a vote.
I mean, I think the big thing is that I don't think it's an election in the sense of the public voting for her. I think it's more just like people supporting her. So they have the support of what's her name, the green haired girl.
Oh my God, Crush? No, something really close to that. Crush, Crow.
Yeah.
It's right there.
I know
She doesn't have a hand anymore. But
yeah, I feel like she's going to be part of that because her entire crew is now supporting Subaru. And by extension, is going to be supporting Amelia because you can't support Subaru without her.
Yeah, the sword guy. I can never remember his name. It's not even that hard of a name to remember. But
I always call him Sebastian because he looks like a butler. But.
Yeah, but he's obviously a pretty important dude, and he obviously supports Subaru Subaru vice versa through Amelia.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, and then obviously the end plot that we get to is Amelia doing the trial. So she's going for the trial. Yeah,
which to start off, we actually find out why Subaru left. That
night. Which was a nice little move. He was just going into there to scratch some words on the wall to help out.
I can only imagine like what happened if he like screwed it up and this trial just didn't work after that.
Yeah, it's just broken. It's like, no, if this place is even slightly marked, the trial doesn't happen and the sanctuary's fucked forever. No, he literally just left in the night to go, right, like help, or like, you not help. That's a different anime altogether, right? Like you can do this and like all that.
Yeah,
like,
just a bunch of positive reinforcement messages so she'd have some support when she was in there. So
yeah, and then we get a couple cliffhanger / reveals. She goes into the trial, immediately is met by Echidna.
Yeah.
Who calls her witch's daughter. So there's one thing right there. So that's a little questionable because, the question's always why does she look so much like the big bad witch?
Yeah, and there's also the fact that Amelia referred to herself as a witch.
Yeah, that's fine. But I feel like if you're a witch's daughter, is a witch is it like a learning thing or is it like a, inheritance thing?
I think a witch is a title in this world. It's something where if you get to a certain level of power or destructive capability, you become a witch.
Yeah, I mean, have we seen Child Amelia? Like, even in her, like, I have terrible memory sometimes. Even in the brief flashbacks we've gotten in the past few episodes of, like, her mom and that kind of stuff.
We've seen younger Amelia. We haven't seen Child, I think.
Okay, because I was wondering if maybe, like, this isn't the first time Amelia has like locked away her memories. Maybe she's been there for like hundreds of years already, kind of like the other witches were, and then she keeps like locking away memories to forget about it because she doesn't want to be like a witch or something.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember she was like thawed out of an ice block basically.
Mm-hmm.
Though we don't know how much time passed between her entering the ice and exiting the ice.
Yeah, I mean, I think the witch's daughter obviously has a pretty big importance too.
Yeah,
especially with
definitely.
Starting in episode 1 or possibly 2. It's in definitely the first little arc in the first 2 episodes. We've learned this issue, the fact that she looks exactly like the witch, and the weird part that still makes no sense in the very first time loop, why she gives Subaru the witch's name. Satella I think it was the.
Oh yeah.
She gives that name instead, and then in the next arc when he calls her that, she's like, "Oh, how dare you! Like, don't call me." Like, it was weird to begin with that would be a name she'd give away. The more we learn about Amelia, it would make a little bit more sense if it's possibly like her mother's name. I still don't know why she'd want to use that, even if to someone she doesn't know, but.
Maybe it was her way of trying to get him to stay away from her, or
maybe because even at that point, like obviously we as the audience know that Subaru knows nothing about this world, so he wouldn't understand that.
Yeah.
But it's such a big name that you would think anybody, even if like he seems kind of like a newcomer comes in, that they would know that name. So it'd be kind of stupid to use it. But
yeah.
So yeah, that's some pretty big implications right there that I assume we're going to learn more of in the next episode because it's probably going to be the trial.
Yeah, we're definitely going to.
Do you think we're getting a Subaru-less episode? Like a whole episode with no Subaru?
I don't think they're going to go that far. We're probably going to get him at the end with the conclusion.
Okay.
Because I don't think they're going to push the trial beyond 1 episode.
I would hope not. Like, even with Subarus, they really only did like 1 full episode. Like, it obviously, the cliffhanger at the end and going into the whole next episode. But as I said, that was one of my favorite episodes of the show so far. So if they can like replicate that just with Amelia and make it like another really, really good like emotional payoff episode, that'd be pretty cool. It's possible too that we might see Subaru in the next episode, but he might be like Vision Subaru kind of thing, not actually there, but
he is big enough in Amelia's life that I think him being part of the trial would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, like we obviously in Subaru's first trial, he had his imaginary parents were basically there, and even though this is some sort of trial about dealing with your past, his parents are helping him instead of like trying to deter him to make the trial harder. So Subaru could be here helping Amelia try and deal with her past, or could be other characters she's known in the past, like her mother and stuff like that, but.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like the trial is designed to be aggressive. It's not meant to actively roadblock.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, we want these people to fail, or else that you wouldn't have imaginary characters like Subaru's parents there, pushing him forward to succeed. They would be like, no, it's okay, Subaru, stay in your room forever, don't leave. The world's scary outside.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you could argue is that because Echidna was interested in Subaru,
she wanted to help him.
Yeah, she tweaked it. While she might be going a little bit harder on Amelia.
Well, we can already tell she's going to be going harder on Amelia because she just pops in right to begin with. The trial hasn't even started yet.
Well, yeah, she basically opens up with calling her. It's like, yeah, you've got a lot of balls coming in here.
She goes in at the end of Subaru's trial when he's passed to talk to him.
Yeah.
But she doesn't just like when he originally goes in the trial, he just wakes up like, where the fuck am I? And then he realizes he's like home.
Yeah, then he gets pile driven by his dad.
Yeah, but she doesn't come in first to discuss anything with him, and then he's there. So
yeah.
Either way, I'm excited for the next episode. I hope we get a really big emotional payoff episode. A lot of backstory with Amelia, obviously.
Yeah, because it seems like she's definitely steeled herself a little bit more. We also got the little Subaru pose at the end, which is definitely
powerful. Power pose.
Yeah, because that was like right back at the start when he did that, wasn't it?
Yeah, those were early days.
Yeah, so
yeah, either way, excited for next week's episode. If you're excited, let us know down in the comments below, and let us know any theories you have, as long as they're spoiler-free as always.
Oh, yeah.
Because this seems like a good time to start getting out some theories because we learned a lot of information at the end of the last one, and I assume next week is going to be even more.
Oh, yeah. If you have any ideas of what the trial is going to be or how Amelia's going to try and tackle it, feel free to just drop a comment.
Yeah, okay. Other than that, we'll be talking about it next week, so stay tuned. Next up on the list is Promise Neverland, Season 2, Episode number 3.
Yeah, that's the name.
Yeah, we don't have a title. There's one show on this list. Maybe it was Horimiya, where the episode name was Title.
Yeah, I actually looked it up. I managed to find it.
What was it?
For Horimiya, That's Why It's Okay.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I remember something was called Title, and I was like, is that trolling me or?
That was just someone forgot to fill in the information.
But yeah, so Promise Neverland. Obviously, this episode. Once again, this episode relatively has a pretty happy feel, other than you get a little bit of a loop somewhere in between. But the feel in the episode was overall happy. It was like a joy feel.
Yeah,
but like you just never feel happy. You're like
there's these 2 spike moments where you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah, it's basically like happy, quick, sad, or quick like dark. Happy, quick, dark. Done. That's all it was. which is good. Obviously, it's a show about kind of keeping you on your feet. So most of it, as we leave off last time, they're getting ready to go out into the to the wilds to go find their William Minerva. They're being helped by the two demon characters who don't eat children, being taught how to survive outside and stuff like that. And then this episode, they're literally just setting them free. It's time for them to go. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, they get dropped off at the edge of the desert and say, "There's no wild demons here. Just go this way, and you'll eventually hit your mark."
Yeah, go that way, you'll hit your mark, and then they have to figure it out from there. Seems relatively positive. We get a couple nice little moments where Emma's showing, oh my god, what's her name? Majira, something like that.
Oh yeah,
the girl demon.
Yeah.
She's showing her like the picture of her family, and she's actually really interested. She's like, oh, who's that? She's like, oh, this one's Phil, and this one's, and she like seems excited. And I still don't think, even with the little reveal we got moments later, I still don't think she is as evil as the other guy. And I mean,
no,
he's not even evil per se. It's just, it's not what you wanted.
He's one of those people. He follows the letter of the religion to its core. He's not necessarily a good person. He's doing it because he's supposed to.
Well, he's not a person. He's a demon. So that maybe makes him. He's maybe a really good demon. But yeah, basically the reveal is we've obviously been questioning as soon as they first met them. Are these demons actually good? Are they bad? Is this a trick? And it's not really a trick, but in this he kind of reveals that the reason he's doing it is because they can't eat humans as per their like religion.
Yeah, their doctrine is basically you cannot eat
farmed
food.
They are basically a vegan or vegetarian who will not eat food from a grocery store, but if someone went out and like hunted it for them, they would eat that. So yeah, so they're basically, they can't eat them when they're farmed. So his plan is like, no, these are like super intelligent children. They're like the top of the top. We let them go, they breed, and then one day I can eat all the fucking humans I want. And he's like, I miss the humans so bad. And you get like a close up on his face with like the teeth all sharpened.
Yeah, you realize it's like, oh, it's not that you don't eat humans. It's just that you want to shoot them yourself.
Yeah, he's not taking the farm fresh meat. He wants to wait, another generation. So there's all these hyper smart, these kids with, probably better than any of the farm kids were from all the extra work they had to do surviving in the wild. And he wants to eat those ones. And he's like, I can eat all of. He's like, I can eat as many as I want.
Like, and he specifies he's willing to wait a long time because it's going to take more than one generation for them to be enough for him to hunt.
Yeah, but obviously we have no idea about demon, timelines. So maybe waiting a century for him is nothing.
Yeah, true. They didn't seem that interested in time when they were discussing it. He's like, yeah, it is that year, but it's been 1,000 years.
But even when this conversation is going on, I don't get the feel. I'm still confused as to what the girl demons, what her plan is. Because she doesn't seem that. She seems like she obviously knows that there's something going on. Like, the reason like they're being nice to him and stuff like that. But she doesn't really seem as interested in him as like the ideals of waiting till their, generation later. And
she seemed almost off-put by his attitude. So I'm thinking that she's actually one of the people she's like, I just don't like eating people.
She also mentioned in this that she's never seen a human before. Like she mentioned when she was talking to Emma that she's never run into humans. So a lot of her interest in them could have just been like I've never seen these. I've never run into humans. Like
true.
And maybe now that she's met them, she like really likes humans. She's like, these are good humans.
Yeah, I mean, if she was raised with this religious doctrine, there's a possibility she never ate humans. She never viewed them as food. So she's just like, oh, they're actually intelligent. They're good to talk to. Cool.
There's then, of course, the question where as they leave, she goes up to Emma. And now there's a couple theories on this because she gives Emma an amulet.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, take this amulet or like that. A lot of people, I've seen a lot of people say that like, that's probably some sort of tracking device so they can find them later. But to me, when she specifically waited till they left, called Emma back, ran towards her. So she was talking with Emma away from both groups. Including away from her like demon friend. So I don't think it's something that he knows about. I think this is something else. I think this is, if anything, maybe to protect her from the plan he has, something along those lines. I'm unsure. It could be a tracking device. It could be something maybe to hide from other demons. Maybe hides like your human scent. I can't tell exactly what it is. It just,
I mean, for all we know, it's just a religious symbol.
It could be, yeah. I assume that because she, instead of just like when she was with the guy being like, hey, here's this amulet, the fact that she like left him to go give it to her.
True. It
just seems like kind of sus, like, and I have more faith in her. We didn't show her being any close up evil faces.
I mean, we know that in the show, having faith is not necessarily a good thing. The show just likes to kind of stomp on any dreams you have.
One other thing in this episode is they did mention Norman quite a bit. And anytime they mention Norman, it's just the upcoming hints for the fact that there's no way he's dead. No. But I still think that's like future seasons away, depending on how long the show goes on.
Yeah, because there hasn't been enough time for him to kind of been brought into the fold and kind of changed in any way.
Yeah, it wouldn't like it's only been like a week or something like that, maybe a little bit. Well, I guess since probably like at most a couple months. So there's no way he has, lost his beliefs and stuff like that enough that he's going to come back in and be a different character. That's like a somewhere down the road. And then like the final thing with the demons that we see is that the male demon's like, oh, I gotta go take care of some business.
Yeah.
And then he goes and he kills the demons that are tracking them. So once again, not a surprise because he doesn't want them to catch him. He wants them to wait until they're out there producing naturally and making a nice meat.
I mean, does this make him a game warden?
I mean, kinda, yeah. It's hard to look at him objectively. It's not like he's evil. If anything, he's still helping out the characters. He even still mentions that he likes them. He tells Ray that he'll make like a good commander kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's actively helping them from being tracked and eaten now by these demons. He literally just, we've seen that sword demon be kind of tough. He chopped off the big running demon's head, but he just obviously was off screen. He literally fights him, and then the next thing it shows the one demon's head laying on the ground. Yeah. But that should at least throw off the demon scent for a little while. And now the next question, though, obviously, is are demons going to be the rest of the threat for this season, or is there going to be something else?
Well, that kind of brings us to the next stage of the episode.
We'll get to the happy part first. They find the shelter.
It's fully decked out. Got plenty of food, running water.
Yeah, running water. They got power, a possibility to plant vegetables through a garden. Yeah, they pretty much have everything they need. They'll still probably have to leave every now and then to go hunt, as they mentioned at one point. But for the most part, it has pretty much everything you need in the shelter. Yeah, which is really nice.
They even have a radio to listen to the check-ins from the farm.
Yeah, which they do. They test it out the one night, even though there's not much on there. They're like, hey, at least we can do this. We know the frequency now. Yeah. So everything, it's a very happy overtone on that part of the episode. Definitely, the kids are enjoying their first bath in a while, and at one point the one kid starts crying, and he's just like, I don't even know why I'm crying, and then Dawn comes in, he's
they're
like,
just chilling in the washroom.
He's like, they're just having their 8-man bath, as we all do. Dawn just comes and be like, no, it's cool you're crying. He's like, we made it. We survived.
Yeah, a little bit of a weird moment when the one kid's playing piano and they suddenly open up a secret room.
Yeah, he's just crushing it on the piano. The one other kid comes over like, bing, and just like room opens up.
My big question
I'm sus at that kid. He's got some knowledge.
My big question is like, what would they do if somebody was just playing on this piano normally and they just accidentally open this up? Not much of a secret compartment.
I guess, because it's just one key. Are they like, did they research every known song of piano? Be like, okay, which key is the least used in general?
It was just the one on the end.
Yeah, no one uses that.
It's like,
listen, I'm just saying,
like, what, 3rd octave C or something like that?
90% of humans in the world's first instinct, especially if they can't play the piano, is running the hands along it. It's like, instinctive. Check what I can do. And that would, immediately open the door. So that part was still a little bit mysterious. Yeah. They open it up. They're like, hey, we can store things in here that people won't be able to find. But it shows some sort of like dark dirt path, maybe another hidden entrance, but it doesn't explore that at all in this episode.
Yeah, they didn't mention it. They didn't say, hey, should we go check this out?
Yeah, they did nothing with that, and I was kind of surprised because I was a little suspicious of that. The dark hallway.
Everything they've been through.
Yeah.
You would think, okay, we're not in immediate danger. Let's find out where this mysterious path that leads out of our shelter goes.
Yes.
But I guess that's next episode?
Yeah, and then while this semi-pause is what's going on, we see a small group of children, a little bit, curious. At the same time, we're seeing Ray. They come to some sort of like door with like where they have to put the pen in.
Yeah, there's a door with a hole in it, and there's Morse code for the word pen.
Yes. And as they do that, the door opens. It's a phone. The phone rings. Emma picks it up, and the voice on the phone says, "Sup, William and Nerva here." And that's where that ends. But on the other spectrum, we're seeing the other kids. They find out there's these group of rooms, or this room, and scribbled all over the wall, and like scratches. You see like help. There's like a couple different things in the room.
Looks very much like it was done in blood and like scratching fingertips. And there's a skeleton laying on the floor.
Yeah. So questionable.
Like we don't know if this was like a sole survivor who got locked in their room, or if there's something a little bit more sus going on.
Yeah, like the question is, William Minerva is obviously the big question of this season so far. Is he a human? Is he on the good side? Is he on the bad side? Is this like is this actually a secretly, hey, if people ever happen to escape the place, we'll lead them here. This is the secondary trap to trap them. Like,
yeah. Because the big thing you have to remember is that the pen they got was given them by the secondary caretaker.
Yeah.
Who got it from a scientist who dropped it.
Yeah. What if this is like a secret secondary farm? And they're like, hey, like, listen, we've actually discovered that if we pretend to let kids out and find our secondary farm, that their meat tastes even better. Their brains are even smarter from natural survival, like the guy thinks. Yeah. So he's like, we're going to let them think they're free while we're actually just raising them to be even better in this second farm.
I mean, does that just make it free range?
Kinda, exactly. And what tastes better? Free range. At least that's what the company is tricking you into thinking. But yeah, obviously big questions with that room, with the whole Willie Minerva thing in general. Big cliffhanger with him talking on the phone.
Yeah, we're gonna get some payoff next season, or not next season, next episode.
I hope we get payoff before next season.
Yeah, but my big question is still like, how after everything, how could they not go down that path?
I know they like panned over to show the path, and I was like, okay, like I'm a little nervous. What's down this path? And then they just like fuck it. They're like, oh, we found a room. Stuff could be kept there. I'm like, okay, but show me that path though.
Yeah, because I mean, it'd be one thing if just like a couple of the younger kids found it, but Dawn and Gilda were there, weren't they?
Yeah, and they're supposed to be. I mean, they're obviously not the smartest, but they're like the next in lines. Obviously
Yeah.
we have Ray and Emma are the smartest, and they're like the backups. Well, Ray, Emma, and Phil are the smartest, but Phil's not there, so.
The king is not present. No.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, even if you weren't suspicious of anything fishy going on there, establishing the fact that you have maybe a secondary path for both protecting it and using it as an escape route in case something goes wrong would be like the first thought.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, the next episode they're going to say like, okay, we checked it out, it's just a blank path or something like that.
Maybe. Obviously, they were putting a lot more focus on the room with the phone, William Minerva,
Yeah.
and the very sus room with the bunk beds and the help scratched all over. And
Yeah, which it's kind of interesting that he would have a secondary door that required the pen to open, considering just getting in required the pen.
I mean, I guess maybe you could happen upon a secret spot that I don't.
And then just force the door open, I guess. But then you could
Yeah.
just force the second door open, and
Yeah, we just don't know enough about demons, right? For all we know, demons can fucking sense a heartbeat from 30 feet away, and when they're standing over top, they're like, a human heartbeat, kick the door in. Like, we don't know enough. I guess maybe you want extra precautions just in case. But yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like by the time someone's already in the shelter, is there really a point of keeping another? I mean, they have a secret we've already seen at the piano, and then another, hard key. Because
Yeah.
the kid's getting this pen is already really lucky, obviously, to show, so it has to continue the plot. But in a realistic sense, that would have taken a lot of luck for them to even get this key.
I mean, even them finding this place would have been lucky. Them surviving for any length of time would have been lucky.
That's why I always wonder if there's actually some sort of a plot going around this where, they're not actually, like, William Minerva's not helping them. They're not actually so smart. They're just happening to get all this lucky. This is actually a plan by these people just to get them in a different situation.
Yeah.
Maybe they have decided that, like, hey, free range
It's the next big thing.
is the next best thing. Obviously, times have changed. They're moving on. They pretend that they let these kids think that they're living in freedom, when really now they're like, you know what? 20-year-old kids' brains actually taste the best now, as long as they've been active from the ages of 11 to 20 on a free range farm. So we don't really know. I think next episode we're going to learn a lot, especially with the continuation of this Willie Minerva phone call,
Yeah.
which is a pretty big deal because we're still questioning if he's even a human.
Yeah, we don't have any actual information. We don't know if he's a human that survived a farm, if he's a human from outside this place.
He could be like a human ex-scientist that was working with the other humans that work with the demons at one point, who decided he was on the wrong side and changed.
Yeah.
A lot of questions about him. Obviously, he's one of the big questions that we've had since season 1, like early on.
I mean, because the big thing was the world in question, humans left at, year 2053 or something like that?
Something.
So for all we know, this is like just some hyper-intelligent AI that's designed to guide humans out.
Maybe.
Or maybe designed to keep humans in?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. Obviously, this is going to be one of those shows where I think it's going to be Attack on Titan-esque with the big twist, thinking that the world is one way and then finding out the world's a completely different way. It seems like a show that can definitely go along that line.
Yeah, the biggest concern I have is because every arc in the manga is described as something different from what I've heard. I'm kind of worrying they'll rush this and cash it out too quickly.
It's possible now. Okay, so a couple big things about this. One, apparently, starting in the next episode, they're going away from the manga. So
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they're still consulting with the writer of the manga. He's, I think, like the screenwriter for the anime. But I think I've heard it's because he didn't like how it went in the manga that well, so he's changed in the anime.
Okay.
So people were nervous about this, but then also the manga's ended, and I heard people did not like the ending. Now I have no idea what it is. Obviously, I didn't.
People
want to spoil
never
it for
like
myself.
the ending.
It's true, but it's actually been like a pretty good consensus that like the last bit, little bit, like wasn't as good as the other parts.
Okay.
So it's possible that he's directly changing it because he wants it to be better. Now,
is
a lot
good.
of people complain about this, but I, for one, I use Fullmetal Alchemist as an example. I loved that they had to change it because I liked Fullmetal Alchemist and I loved Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Sure, one was better than the other and they were different, and the manga version was better, but I still got two different shows that were really, really good.
That is true.
So if they end up, changing this from the manga, since we don't really read the manga anyways, is not going to affect us. But if they're doing it purposely to make it have a better outcome than the manga,
Yeah.
then I'm fine with that. But that is one thing I've heard a lot. I'm pretty sure it's starting episode 4, so starting the next episode.
Okay.
Even what I've heard is the word that was on the wall in this is different than the word that was on the wall in the manga. Now, nobody said what it was. It was really tight-lipped on the spoilers. People were really good in the comments. But yeah, from what I've heard, the word's different because the word in the manga was setting up like a future arc that might not even happen in the anime. So they changed the whole word. So it wasn't help in the manga. It was a separate word that was hinting towards a future arc that might not happen. So that's why they changed it to help. So yeah, we're not manga readers, so we don't know any of the spoilers. So if you do, still try to keep them out of the comments, unless of course you leave a big blank and a spoiler warning.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's still interesting stuff to know, and I'm excited for next episode.
Yeah, me too.
We'll be talking about the next week. If you have any thoughts, theories, anything like that, of course, leave them down below. And next up on the list is the big one, of course, Kumo Desu. So I'm a spider. So what?
Yep. We're on episode 3.
On episode 3.
This is the name is Earthworm (Dragon). Bad news.
So one thing that I want to bring up really early on before we even discuss the episode plot is back in the early King's Raid days when we didn't really know what we were getting into. I mentioned how what I wanted was a dual perspective show, and they kind of failed to do that. They pretty much just did 7 episodes of non-Dark Elves, then throw 1 episode of Dark Elf in every now and then.
Yeah.
This show, I think every single episode, even if I think we've gotten more every single episode actually, is splitting the perspectives between the main character and then the group of humans.
Yeah, because the first couple of episodes, we just got kind of a check-in, just saying like, hey, there are other people in this world. And then the other one was like, hey, this is this one guy's situation. And this one we actually got a lot more on the new.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if we timed it out, it would be a little bit longer every single time.
Yeah.
This one, obviously, we got a pretty decent amount longer.
Yeah, it's a significant amount.
It was probably almost half, if not half.
I'd say about half.
Yeah, so it starts off mainly as the spider's perspective. So what's her name? It's Kumiko?
Yeah, Kumiko.
Kumiko. So once again, we are seeing her wake up from the evolution she did in the last episode. Yeah. She didn't look any different. I was expecting
we're gonna get another
spider, like the spiky soon. One. Yeah, and then she immediately is like, "Oh, I'm feeling good." Like, "Oh, look at my speed. It's like 348. I'm fast as fuck." And then immediately just runs into a bunch of humans and has to flee from them and gets
she
away.
realizes that her speed isn't actually that high, and that all.
Well, she's like, I could probably take out these humans. Then she does a quick appraisal, and they're all like between 22 and level 27.
Yeah.
At this point, she's like level 1. So.
Yeah.
I could definitely see what people meant when they said the progression of this is a lot slower. Not worse, but a lot slower than like Slime.
Normal isekai, she would have just bitch slapped them all.
Yeah, I mean, we've been 3 whole episodes now. She still has not left the area. I would never have guessed when I started this that she would be in the same cave for the first 3+ episodes.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, at the end of this one, she did end up in a different part of the cave.
Yeah, but I mean, she's been in a couple different parts, but she's never been outside of this, and now I wonder when she will be. Because I have is she going to be in this thing the entire season?
Honestly, the way they're going, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just her progressing through this kind of dungeon, so
getting stronger before she leaves. And maybe once she eventually leaves the dungeon, that's where she's OP. But with the way the show's going, it's very possible she just is never OP.
Yeah, I mean, keeping something within reasonable power constraints isn't a bad thing. So
no, it's just obviously, if you went into this thinking it was like Slime, that's where you would definitely be a little bit off put by like the differences. But luckily, we were warned about that really early on ahead, like before this even aired. Yeah, so it's not too shocking. But yeah, I'm always entertained. I can see why people really do. I don't want to use the term best girl for her.
It feels weird saying that about a spider.
Yeah, because I mean, best girl. Well, there are a lot of best girls, and then there's terms like waifu, which is kind of the same thing, but I think waifu is a little bit more of a romanticized one.
Yeah,
I think that you can have a best girl who is someone that you don't, want to be romantic at all. But I think waifu is like, no, I want to marry that character. That's why she's my waifu.
Pretty much, yeah.
So she could be best girl, but I hope no one's making her waifu right now.
Maybe like they like the humanoid version, or
we don't know if there is a humanoid version.
Like before she's got spidered.
Maybe. I mean, we don't even see her face. We only get to see she's a classic anime, dark-haired bang girl.
Yeah, maybe they're into that. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. But once again, she's always very entertaining, so I can see why people really do like that character. I want them to show at some point her person back when, before she was reincarnated, because right now, she looks like nothing like what her spider. She acts like she has like the biggest ADHD, but then obviously when we see her in the human, she's like, quiet. She doesn't really speak a lot. She just kind of lets the bullies bully her without even. But right now she's just nonstop fucking talking and jumping around. And,
which that might be isolationism. It's if she was always alone before and now she has no one to talk to.
Yeah, or it could have been her personality before, but she just never let it show, right? She kept it secret.
She could have been very, very quiet at school and just let it out afterwards.
I think the big part of this episode was definitely with the humans. So we find out more like lore building. A lot of it's about them like practicing magic. Yeah. We get to see a lot of the characters interact. A lot of times they're calling them by their old names, and then they're like trying to correct themselves. Like, oh no, like people don't So I guess the knowledge of like resurrection in this, like reincarnation as someone else, is not common knowledge.
Yeah, which I mean, I think is pretty fair game in something like this.
Yeah, there are some things though, like in like reincarnated as a slime, for instance. They talk about a couple instances of people who reincarnated, and it's kind of known, right? They specifically summoned people, I think, from other worlds as
That
like
is
heroes, because I think they did it with the girl that he that eventually
Yeah,
died,
the
he took
girl
over.
and the students as well. They were all summoned specifically.
Yeah, well,
But
this
they
one
weren't
seems more
They weren't
secretive.
reincarnated though. That's
Yeah.
the thing. So
Yeah, this one though, just basing off the fact that they keep trying to correct, be like, hey, don't stop calling him this. His name's like Hugo in this world. He's like, oh fuck, right, okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's something that not everybody knows.
Yeah, then you got the one guy who's just an absolute dick.
Yes, yeah, I think that is what's his. Is he not Hugo?
I think he's the one who keeps refusing to use people's actual names in this.
I think he keeps calling the blue haired guy Yamada or something,
Yeah.
which might be it. But yeah, so obviously he's being a dick, but a lot of this part is we're learning about like the magic, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's still this. We talked in the last couple episodes about like the Earth Dragon that there's been sightings of, or his brother went off to go fight it or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think we were theorizing the brother would go off and fight. They didn't actually say he was going to. So
Yeah, the brother's off doing something, I assume, because he's such a cool hero.
yeah.
But yeah, as we're learning a little bit more about these side characters, right in time for the big Earth Dragon to come up. It looked a lot more like T-Rexy, like something I'd hunt in Monster Hunter than I was imagining. But
I think this is the same idea. I think anything that looks reptilian is a monster gets classified as a dragon.
there's a dragon. There's like different subcategories for it.
Yeah.
Well, just based off the fact that we've seen from Monster Evolution, it goes down multiple paths. I assume that it's kind of like that kind of thing. There's probably a shit ton of different dragons and like the dragon family when they evolve.
Yeah. My big question is, like, for a creature like this, did it have the intelligence to pick its evolution path, or is that kind of automated?
I feel like that'd be automated. I feel like that option is probably only for these people that are reincarnated.
Yeah.
I feel like I think that all the other people wouldn't think of this like a video game world, right? For them, it's just natural and just happens.
Yeah, but
I don't think, because like the one girl, right? The one funny part is the blonde girl is going a little bit like crazy when you meet her. She's talking about how like God talked to her again this morning. And she mentions like her, and at first you're like, what the fuck is she talking about? And then as the episode goes on, you realize it's the same weird game master that Kumiko keeps hearing in her head. She's treating this person like she's God.
Yeah, and she's actively just yelling skill up every time she uses
she's trying to blast all of her abilities to get skills up just to hear her God again, which is a very weird but also kind of funny
but they do
take on that.
They do refer to a skill as something you could obtain, so
it's true. So maybe they do pick.
And there is the active spell for appraisal, which does give you that information. So maybe they don't get like a little drop down menu. But
yeah, maybe there's not like a weird UI system for them, but
yeah, and maybe it's one of those things like typically you have to go like meditate or something to get your class change or something like that. But
maybe, as I said, we still don't know tons about the world. I think each episode, especially as we see more and more of the human side, we're learning a little bit more about the world.
Yeah, like this one, they kind of established that using magic requires a magic tool, and
yeah, and then they've got their own, like they have to use their wands, and obviously we see the swords at 1.2, and he mentions about of course he has like a cool royal family sword. He's like, but so do I, and classic dickbag character. I'm assuming was also a dickbag in the old school.
Yeah, they specifically say his personality hasn't changed much. So
yeah, the big part though is when the Earth Dragon comes out, they have to obviously team up to fight him, and by team up I mean douchebag guys being a douchebag kind of by himself, and then the other ones all have to team up.
Yeah, I mean, the thing we should probably note too is that the teacher just gets guffed at the start of this.
Oh, immediately. He just like gets fucking evaporated. He gets Thanos snapped into dust.
Yeah, he's like disintegrating in front of them, and everyone's like, oh fuck, and no one thought to run apparently.
No, well, I mean, I feel like most of the kids were all panicked, and then of course you get the main characters who were like, no, we can handle this.
Yeah.
Now my question is about his sister. Is his sister reincarnated?
No.
Okay, that's what I was curious about, because like obviously she
I don't think so.
I mean, I don't know.
The fact that she's really leaning into the Oni-chan thing,
that'd be
makes
weird.
me hope she isn't.
And okay, but here's the thing: No, I don't even want to ask this question. I was gonna say, if she was just a girl who had a crush on him in the old school, and then when she gets reincarnated as his sister, listen, anime would do that just to get around some of the technicalities.
I mean, yeah, it's still fucked up, but
I like it. I mean, there's so many. The reincarnation in this is obviously very weird, much different than all the other ones, especially when you consider like some of the characters are reincarnated as monsters. The one character is reincarnated; he's a male reincarnated as a woman, so now he's a man in a woman's body. And while in front of other people, he has to pretend to be like semi-feminine, but then in front of his like friends or like the other people he knows know him, he just doesn't give a fuck.
Pretty much,
like it's obviously a much weirder I don't know, like a reincarnation system that we see in most anime, which is kind of fun.
Part of it too is we don't even know when they took over these bodies. We don't know if they were born into them or if they just kind of took them over at some point.
I think now obviously they still haven't come out and said it, but I'm pretty sure they're born into them. Is what we've I think kind of learned through just like showing like background story and stuff like that.
Sure.
It's pretty. I mean, they haven't just outright said, "Hey, yeah, we were born in these bodies." You know, we don't know if it's like something like Mushoku Tensei, where they're born and immediately as children they have like the knowledge base they had when they were, you know, because that would, I guess, it'd be kind of the reason why they're better. But also, why were so many of them born as like royal, specifically all from the same place?
Yeah, that's a big question. Because at the start, when they're first shown, you see the teacher kind of introducing them. It's like, hey, here's a couple other royals that are also your classmates.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen they've mentioned they haven't been able to find some people. We've seen 2 different characters reincarnated as monsters. One the bully, one the person the bully was bullying. Yeah. So we don't know exactly how the system works. I like the idea that the bully thinks that it's like a kind of like reincarnation.
It's a karma system.
Yeah, exactly. Like some people in real life believe that's how it works. You know, hey, you're a good person, you're reincarnated as a rich guy. Oh, a bad person, you're reincarnated as like a slug. So I do like how the bully acknowledges like, oh, I'm probably a fucking monster in this because I was such a dickbag in the last world. I at least like that.
Then Kumiko sitting there as a spider, just
pretty happy. I mean, honestly.
I mean, to be yes and no. Like, I feel like she's going a little stir crazy, but
I mean, maybe. I'm excited to see when she gets out and when she makes friends or when she, meets with the humans. If that even happens in the season, if that ever happens at all.
I feel like they wouldn't be showing us this much of the humans if they weren't going to at least cross paths at some point.
Probably. My question is still, can she talk to them?
Yeah, we don't know if she's speaking or
we always see her like yelling and stuff when being chased by these humans, but they're obviously not like, hey, that spider can talk. But we see the other character who was reincarnated as an earth dragon talking just fine to all the other human characters.
Yeah, at the same time, I think the earth dragon was referred to as a familiar, though. So they might be trying to use that as an explanation. When she used magic, they're like, hey, don't do that.
I don't even know if that's true, or maybe if they're just calling her a familiar so that all the other humans around think that's acceptable.
I think that's what it is.
He has an earth dragon around.
Yeah, I think that's it. And that also might be the way of explaining, like, yeah, that's why she can talk and why she can shoot water. And
yeah, they're like, yes, it's just my familiar. Definitely not an earth dragon.
Yeah.
Obviously, that character actually gets quite a little bit in this. As they're attacked by the other very large earth dragon, they're getting their ass absolutely kicked. And I don't know exactly how she does it, but just as the Yamada, whatever his name is, the blue-haired guy, is about to get goofed, she hops in and just fucking bites like a piece out of the neck.
Yeah, she just clamped right on, full death grip, and just started ripping away.
And then, yeah, he uses that the moment to absolutely decapitate the Earth Dragon. And then it's kind of like a big celebratory victory. They're like, yeah, we did it. Everyone's kind of celebrating. Little tiny baby Earth Dragon's looking a little somber, looking in the distance. Yeah. And then he's like, what's up? And she's like, oh, check out my skills. And then it hops on. We see Kin Eater. Obviously, we've seen Kin Eater before, but it's such a vastly different, like funny difference between the two characters getting it. Kumiko didn't really. She's like, I don't really want to, but I'm pretty fucking hungry right now.
I mean, for her, it was a matter of survival.
Yeah,
and it wasn't like she had any choice in the matter. She had no other source of food, and
yeah, but I mean, she just she never gave a fuck though, right?
Yeah, she just got it. It's like, oh, I guess it's because I ate another spider. Okay,
she's not like these are actually like my brothers and sisters. It's not like
well, in her case too, it was very much a case of they were going to eat me if they had half a chance. The thing I'm gonna call a parent was probably gonna eat me if it had half a chance.
Yeah, I mean it tried.
Yeah, it definitely did.
But yeah, and then this character though, the male looks and sees that she has Kin Eater, and then he's like, wait a minute, you mean that's like one of your parents? It means because Kin Eater means it has to be a family of some sort.
Well, I mean, kin just means for all we know, it just means if you eat something of the same species, like it's the cannibal.
I would assume there'd be like a separate cannibal thing for that, maybe. But either way, they assume, he assumes that he just killed someone in her family, and she doesn't look like upset. She's just being very like emotionless. She's like, yep. And then he just kind of tilts over and vomits a little bit upset. Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of the thing, like she's looking at, it's like, is this what I'm gonna end up as? And
yeah, I mean, hopefully not. Hopefully she takes the right evolution path to be a much cuter dragon. But yeah, I mean, it was still kind of cool. We get a little bit of this character growth. I liked the differences between the Kumiko getting Kin Eater and then her getting Kin Eater, because this is like, it's like a somber story. The one guy throws up. He's so like, physically nauseous at the thought that he just killed, someone in her family basically. And then Kumiko just didn't really give a fuck. She got over that one real fast.
Yeah, she was just like, oh, whatever. Okay.
Obviously different situations, different characters, but it's still funny seeing the huge difference between the two of them dealing with the same situation.
Yeah, and for all we know, Kin Eater is like one of those really taboo titles, so maybe there's a whole different context for her getting it.
I mean, maybe. But either way, I don't understand how the fuck she was strong enough to take a little nibble out of that dragon to begin with. She fucked that thing up.
I mean, I don't even think she did a shit ton of damage. I think it was more that she just bit into it and like distracted it long enough from the.
I am still always surprised by the amount of blood in this anime. It's just insane. The amount of times that we see Kubiko like bite into something and just start eating it down. And like it's not just like you see a cute little bite and then like a chunk's missing, you know, like
they're showing
a classic
chunks
anime where there's just like a meat chunk.
Out.
Yeah, there's just fucking blood going all over her face.
Yeah, it's visceral.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And then when the little tiny, we're going to have to learn all these names eventually. When little tiny dragon bites into big papa dragon, shit ton of blood just shoots out.
Yeah, the little earthworm.
We'll memorize their names one day, I swear, for all the Kumodesu people out there. But yeah, we're obviously excited to talk about it. I think today we're only talking about. Are we talking about Mushoku Tensei 2?
I mean, I feel like it's worth noting at least something about it.
Maybe, yeah. We were going to do a rotation between the two of them, but if we have time, often we might do both of them. Unless there's a specific episode that's really slow, then we might just talk about whatever episodes a little bit more. But yeah, I think in general, that's probably all we have to say about it this week.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, keep an eye out. We'll be talking about it next week, of course. Hopefully we get some big episodes coming up. I want her to leave the dungeon because I'm just so fucking curious as to what happens.
I want the brother to die.
I know you want the brother to die. We know nothing but this brother. What if he's best boy? I think someone in the comments confirmed that he is in fact best boy. You're not going to want him to die.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a contrarian.
Okay, well, you know what? Jimmy's out here praying the brother dies. I don't want him to die. I want Dickbag to die.
I want that story element. I want her to have to walk up to him and like, yeah, I murdered your brother. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I feel like she wouldn't even give a fuck.
Exactly.
Like she was in this one, she was like, I could probably fight all these fucking humans.
Yeah.
If she actually was able to and she did, what would the outcome be? Would she have eaten the humans?
I think so.
Is that at what point she's at in her life? She's like, yeah, I'm just fully leaning into the spider thing now.
I mean, she didn't attack the one guy who got stuck in her web.
That's true. But
so we don't know how far gone she is.
As the weeks go on, she just might.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, I'm getting real tired of frog meat. She mentions constantly about how bad all these meats taste. Now, part of it also, she's eating it raw. She still has somehow the same taste buds when she's a human. But like, human meat's got to taste pretty good compared to all the frogs. And I mean, her frogs are pretty good too.
I mean, I've heard humans equated to pork, so
it's like a pretty cheap meat, honestly. But I don't know. Hopefully,
I mean, frogs equated to chicken, so
hopefully at some point, I just want her to leave, just so not because I'm not like bored of what's going on in her story where she's like fighting all these monsters. I just want to see what happens. Once again, we half the reason people like watching our segment on this is because we have no fucking idea what's going on and we have no idea where it's going at all, which is fine. Like we're cool with that, but I want to know what's happening. I want to be like, hey, like where is this anime going? I can guess with most isekais. I'm like, okay, yes, like every couple episodes you're adding one person to the party. You got to go kill a fucking demon lord or some shit, and most of them are very very generic and very guessable for it, but this one we have no clue.
Yeah.
So as it goes on, I'm just kind of hoping.
Even the progression of the show, because like at the end of this one, she got dropped into a totally different area.
Yep.
Where she's fighting multiples of the snakes. She's got giant ass hornets, and what was it, a level 50 something earthworm or?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we don't know what's going to happen to her next episode. So
I'm just curious if it's going to be it's going to take multiple episodes for her to get out. When she gets out, she's going to be OP. But the reason, at least unlike something like Slime, she's not just instantly powerful. When she gets out and is overpowered in this, as the audience, we know that she earned it, right?
Yeah.
No one's going to be complaining this is another power fantasy because we're like, no. That character fucking earned the OP-ness.
Yeah,
she wasn't just dropped in here with her smartphone or anything. She had to fucking fight like 30,000 snacks, a bunch of little Lizzies.
Yeah. I love how that is still our measure for a bad isekai.
Drop in another world with my smartphone.
I still fucking hate that show.
Yeah, that's the most generic, like, hey, you want to pretend that you're a powerful boy with like 9 wives? Check this out.
Yeah. We're not even going to make you work for it. Here's a fucking smartphone.
Yeah, no. Smartphones aren't that cool. Trust me. As two people who have both dealt with a lot of smartphones in our life, they're not that good. They're not getting you 9 wives in another world. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Kumodesu. Obviously, good episode. Excited to see where it goes. Always excited by the amount of like support and stuff we get from the subreddit, especially and all the Kumodesu fans in here.
Yep.
So if you're one of those people, of course, comment down below what part you liked about the episode. What parts you're excited for us to talk about. Try and stay spoiler free, as pretty much everyone does, anyways. I haven't seen anyone.
Sure. Feel free to call me an asshole for wanting the brother dead.
Yeah, if the brother's your best boy, just call Jimmy an asshole. Call him out on it. It's just fucking ridiculous at this point. But yeah, keep an eye out for next week. Of course, we're going to be talking about the next episode. So moving on.
All right.
Next up, we have Jujutsu Kaisen episode number 15.
Kyoto Sister School Exchange Event Group Battle 1.
Now, before we even get into the episode, I got a fucking bone to pick, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't with any of you Jujutsu Kaisen fans. It's not even with the anime itself. It's with the goddamn subreddit.
Yeah. Now, before we get into this, something that some of you may not know is that Cam is the one who handles most of our publicity.
Yeah,
this includes
obviously
posting on the subreddits.
Obviously, the one thing, if you want views and you want all that kind of, you want subs and all that kind of shit, you got to put in a little bit of work, which sometimes sucks. Sometimes it seems like you're bugging people. Like I go to some very similar YouTubers sometimes, and I genuinely will find a YouTuber that I like or that's like very similar content. I'll watch their whole video. Sometimes I'll go in the comments and I'll be like, hey, listen, like I really loved when you said about this part. Like I find stuff I genuinely like about them in their video. I don't just go on and spam, and they'll be like, hey, you know what? Your content's kind of like ours. If you like this, check this out. I don't like put the links in anything. I'm like, you can just click on our channel if you want. Yeah. And I don't just go to random videos and like, just start typing before I watch the video. I always actually watch the whole video, give them their watch time, find out shit I genuinely like. And then, of course, I do things like I go to the r/anime subreddit and post our video. And then typically what I do is, obviously a lot of you probably found this to begin with, is I go to every different anime we talk about, specifically the once a week after our episode goes up, and I post, Jujutsu Kaisen episode number 14 discussion. I put the time code in specifically, and I even in brackets put like anime podcast and spoiler. I want people to know what they're getting into. I don't want them to think that I'm unjustly spamming something in there. It's specifically only about that. And most of the time it's only if we talk about it for long enough.
Yeah, if it's just a quick little mention, we're not dropping a spam.
I think one time when we were discussing what anime is going to come out soon, we talked about how we're going to be obviously watching ReZero Season 2, but that part where we talked about that was only 3 minutes long, and I put that in the ReZero subreddit, and the mod actually took it down because they're like, hey, you didn't talk about ReZero enough. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. That's fair. That was just me trying to grab a couple extra people, but that's completely fair, dude. And then the future times I've posted in there, the mods actually really helped with getting it posted, which is really nice. Yeah. And then obviously we mentioned previously the Kumo Desu subreddit. We get shit ton of comments and likes, and a lot of people.
Yeah, you guys are amazing.
A lot of people have found this podcast and that specific part through there, and they're really useful. But yeah, the Jujutsu one. I haven't even heard anything. Okay, we only post one post every time an episode airs, and I specifically title it Jujutsu Kaisen episode this with the time code. And then this week, as I put up the one for episode 14, would have been the previous one.
We're on 19, aren't we?
No, we're on 15 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 14 would have been last week's. Before that, we even took a 2-week break because the whole holiday episode thing.
Yeah.
As I posted that episode, it got taken down, and a mod sent me a message being like, your post was automatically removed, or was removed for spamming by a mod. So I was like, okay, they're like, if you want to fight this, message back. So I messaged the mod. I'm like, hey, I'm just curious, why is the episode being taken down? I specifically made sure I followed all the proper flare rules. I checked all the rules of the subreddit. And the guy just responds with, you're a spammer, Harry. I'm like, oh, great. This is a fucking 14-year-old in his mom's basement who was somehow given the god powers of mod on the Jujutsu Kaisen fucking subreddit. So I'm like, listen, dude, I'm not spamming. I only specifically post one part every single week. It's about episodic discussion. And I only post it I haven't even posted on this Reddit for 2 weeks. And he's just like, nah, check your upload history, dude. You're clearly a spammer. I was like, it may seem like that because I post, one day a week I'll post 7 things on subreddit or on Reddit because they're all the different shows. Yeah. I was like, but in your subreddit specifically, I only post once a week, and I haven't even posted for 2 weeks. Yeah. And then as I tried to send this back, I was like, this isn't spamming. This is literally episodic discussion. You allow all the other people to post once a week when they're discussing about the specific episodes. As I go to try and send it, it's just like, you've been muted. You may try to respond back in 7 days. And I was just like, dear God, I just want the Jujutsu Kaisen people, if they want somewhere to talk about the episode, not just in the comments of the subreddit, but if they want to actually go see someone talk about it, then they have that place. But apparently not anymore. But if you watch Jujutsu and you're somehow here, at least that's still good.
We appreciate any viewers.
Yeah, I'd be very curious if you're someone who is here watching the Jujutsu part. Just let us know in the comments, because I'm just curious in general who's actually watching this. It's obviously a big show, so I think there'd be a decent amount of viewers. Yeah. But especially if we're not able to get it out to stuff like the subreddit, which is where we find a lot of our viewers, then I'm just curious as to how many people are going to keep watching it. So if you're here watching the Jujutsu part, just let us know down below. But now that we've complained about Reddit enough, let's actually talk about the actual episode. So what was the title name again? It's a long one.
Yeah, Kyoto Sister School Exchange Event Group Battle 1.
Okay, so same as last week. I think it was just called Group Battle Part 0 last week, and now it's 1. Okay.
So we're getting into an arc.
As we already knew. A lot of this focuses around Itadori, which is what we wanted. Yep. And I'm just going to say, we made a lot of correct predictions in the last one.
We did, yeah.
I 100% called that when we're gonna get a fight with I think his name's Toto.
Yeah.
We're gonna get a fight with him and Itadori really fast, and then Toto's gonna ask the question about like, oh, what's your ideal woman? And that Itadori was gonna answer about how he likes like thick Western women, like Jennifer Lawrence. I even said that specifically because that was the girl he liked, and that was the exact answer he gave. And then you just see Toto look up, and the tears just come down from his face, and then he has the fucking vision of a different life where they just would have been best friends.
Yep.
Really funny. I mean, again, this is there's an arc going on right now about how all these characters are going to try and kill Itadori.
Yeah.
They're just going to try and murder him for who he is, that kind of thing. And you're supposed to be like, oh no, this is serious. This guy might also try and murder him. But you're just seeing this fucking hilarious little vision about, being best friends, him wanting to ask out the girl he likes, Itadori taking him out for noodles after because, she rejects him. I was waiting for the twist where then she says she likes someone else and it was going to be Itadori that she likes. And that was going to
expected that.
That was going to put a, bend in the friendship. But it was just really funny, obviously.
Yeah.
Because the answer is just like, he's like, I like tall girls with a fucking thick ass. Oh, like Jennifer Lawrence. And he's just like, yes, finally, my best friend.
Yeah, I feel like he was just looking for someone who had the same taste in women as him.
Yeah, the fact that he calls him his like best friend, and he was just like, the fuck are you talking about?
Just
and
like
obviously,
that? What?
It's not just that. As they fight, he's like super impressed. He's like, this guy's fucking like reflexes are insane. His physical strength is higher than mine. Like he's stronger than me. And then the only part he hates, he's like, his attack that has that delay is wrong. And he just shouts it so loud. And he's just like, oh, it's all wrong.
All the other people who are about to start fighting here, it's like, was that your guy?
He's like, you'll never beat me with this. Now, the one thing this has me wondering is in this fight it's so weird because it is technically an error, right? It's not what's supposed to happen. It's just because he doesn't have perfect control yet. So it's like an accidental side effect.
Yep.
In this, is he already going to fix this by fighting him and then take away a special move?
He's going to get something because earlier they specifically didn't show us it so that we would question who did it. They showed the clap where he switched positions.
Yeah, I think it was pretty acknowledged that was Toto though.
Even the guy who was in charge of Toto, like his team leader, was like, was that Itadori or was that Toto?
Well, that's because they've said Toto's never used his ability and he's only used it once while fighting the special grade one and no one saw it. I think that's going to be his ability.
Probably, yeah.
But I'm just really curious if they're going to make Itadori fix his, because that's like his like little trademark. You know how like, people like Naruto's got his Rasengan.
Yeah, but delayed impact strike isn't really like, it has a cool name in Divergent Fist, but that's
cool
not something
name.
That's not something you can market. That's not something anyone's going to Photoshop into a picture.
I wonder if they're going to fix it already though, because they're
going to give him a different technique. He's going to still have the Divergent Fist, but he's going to have something else.
Maybe. Either way, I'm really excited for this fight. We got a little bit of this, and it already looked fucking fantastic. As like Itadori swings across the tree and goes for the kick, and like
even Toto's like he even uses the environment to his advantage. Like he's not fucking around.
Yeah, I was a little bit sad that when all the characters surrounded him, that Toto did the whole probably Toto did the whole ability where they switch places so he can tell his whole team to fuck off. Yeah. I was really hoping just for like 2 minutes, it started with just them all trying to fight Itadori other than Toto and him, even if he's not kicking all their asses, completely fighting it off.
Yeah, he kind of did. He dodged a lot of attacks. Even the chick's sword attack.
Oh yeah, she's like fucking. She said that she didn't like go basically full out because she's still a little skeptical. But even
she
that,
hesitated,
his reflexes were just insane, and he just immediately dodges it.
Yeah,
yeah. The one chick tries to shoot him, dodges. He fucking triple backflips over the sword attack. Like he's just kicking ass.
He doesn't give a fuck.
The fighting animation of the show is insane. The only show that maybe had better looking fighting animation was Gata High School.
That's because that's all they did.
But yeah, that didn't have all the other stuff to back it up like Jujutsu does.
Yeah, Jujutsu has the character building, and they also have those little down moments with the comedy that really kind of accentuates everything. So
there's a lot of last week had the really funny part of the first reveal that Itadori's alive. This week had the whole just his interaction with Toto in general and the weird, not flashback, but imaginary vision and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting, obviously Toto comes in, he just tells the rest of the team to fuck off, and they're all like, well, we have to because he told us to.
Yeah, no one's fucking with Toto.
Yeah, and then we're seeing the main team fight the other team. They took out the little witch lady on the broom. We're seeing some action start to happen because they figure, we already know the characters like, hey, are they trying to kill Itadori? And they're like, yeah, they're probably trying to kill Itadori.
Yeah.
So they're like, what's one of the fastest ways? We'll keep them busy. And then you have a cool mouth speaky guy. He's just trying to find the, what is it? Is it first grade that they're looking for? It's a big bad, but it's definitely.
I think second grade, because I think first grade's like basic, second grade would be upgraded.
Okay, so yeah, it's reverse order. But yeah, he's trying to find it because they're like, hey, if we end this, they're trying to use this competition to assassinate him like secretly. If we end the competition, then they can't do it. So
yeah, the idea is basically they kill him during this. They're like, well, it was an accident. Whoops.
Do you think we're actually going to get a resolution as to who wins the fight between Itadori and Toto? Or do you think they're going to be so evenly matched and it's going to be so impressive, but then the competition is going to end before it finishes?
I think it's going to peter out. I think what's going to end up happening is he's going to help Itadori create some sort of new combat technique
In time for like their team to win the competition by taking it like the second grade.
Yeah, but I don't think he'll actually win the fight. I think he's...
No, I don't think that. A lot of times, especially when you have characters that you want the show watchers to like, you don't want to make one lose. You don't want to throw that at people.
Yeah.
It's like the same reason why they like never really showed like Naruto and Sasuke. They never actually like had a clear winner. It'd always be like, oh, like they're kind of evenly matched because you don't want to upset one side of the fan base. It's like picking. It's like a show actually, having the main character marry one of the 4 girl options. They never do that because you don't want to upset the other 3/4 of the fan base who likes the other girls.
I mean, a lot of them do that when they're just done. But...
Yeah, well, when they're like, hey, fuck, we're over anyways. Yeah. You want to keep it vague, which is a lot of times what they want to do, especially because Toto is obviously going to be a really, really liked character. He's fucking hilarious.
He is. He's one of those characters I don't think he's going to go anywhere. So
yeah, so I think that it's going to be a lot about Itadori completely impressing him, like to the point where he's going to think Itadori is his equal now, and he's not even going to care about that like 3rd year anymore. He's going to be like, no, Itadori.
Yeah, he's the one I want to fight from now on. Screw the other guy.
Yeah, so we have future stuff, which I think is dope. But yeah, I don't think Itadori's going to like knock him out and win.
Yeah. I mean, if he does develop a new technique, what do you think he's going to go to after the Divergent Fist?
Pre-Virgent Fist. The strike hits before he punches.
I mean, that's kind of a logical progression, but...
Well, okay, yeah. The one thing, obviously we know at some point Itadori is going to get the fucking domain, and that domain is 100% going to be Sukuna's domain, basically.
Yeah. It's either going to be Sukuna's or it's going to be some bullshit OP bulk.
But I don't think we're getting that until he actually fights like villains of the show. That's not going to be something we're seeing against like Toto or any characters like this.
On that note, if you watch the opening, they do show him fighting the plants demon thing from the previous season.
Yeah, the like one with the eyes and the weird horns. And,
So if he does bust out a domain at any point, it's going to be in that fight.
Yeah, it's going to be against one of the big bads, one of the series antagonists. It's not going to be like a for fun against in a school competition, even if it is semi-serious with them trying to kill him.
Yeah,
but that's not something they're going to throw right away. So he's definitely going to either fix his ability and just have like an even more strong punch that's just not going to look as cool because it doesn't have the divergent aspect to it.
I mean, he'd use both just to throw people off.
That's true. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. He throws off timing, right? Sometimes he uses a regular, completely powerful one. Sometimes it's divergent. So you like block the first deck, get hit by like the second part.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's an anime, so he needs something fucking flashy as hell.
Yeah, he's gonna get some big bomb cursed energy attack.
There's a reason why Rasengan versus Chidori was so popular. It's because one's a fucking huge electric ball, one's a huge wind ball, and the animation of like when they hit and shit like that was just always cool to watch. So they need something that's cool visually.
That's what I was saying. Like, you cannot Photoshop Divergent Fist into a cosplay photo.
Yeah, I mean,
so
they could do like the greeny black energy around it.
Yeah, but that's just cursed energy. So that goes with anything.
He's definitely missing something cooler for his attack. That I agree with Toto that the Divergent Fist is just not cool enough. He needs something much flashier.
It's an interesting idea, but it's more of a revelation you would have against a specific opponent as opposed to his signature attack.
Yeah, that I agree with. But yeah, he's gonna get something. I don't know exactly what it's gonna be. It's kind of hard to guess. We really haven't seen. Everything we've seen from other characters is so different than anything Itadori could possibly do.
I mean, everyone kind of has a unique selling point. I can't remember her name, but the girl has the hammer and the nails and the cursed dolls. Megami summons creatures. Mm-hmm. We've got a beast mode panda who's just going to kick ass by clawing things, I'm assuming.
Probably. And obviously, yeah, the Speaky guy is obviously really fucking powerful. They've acknowledged that. They're like, hey, we don't want to fight that dude. Yeah, he's just going to command us to fucking kill ourselves or something.
Yeah, they specifically said we can't group up or else he might one-shot us all.
Yeah. Either way, obviously, we're going to get a very big battle arc, as is expected from a tournament arc. So
which I don't know if we're actually going to see Itadori fight in the next episode.
I don't think so. I think we're going to see side characters fight. We might get a couple little clippets of them fighting briefly.
Yeah, I'm going to say probably Panda versus Robot based on what I saw.
Panda versus Robot would be cool. Obviously, the two sisters fighting at some point, or we're going to have Megami versus someone like the witch girl. Or actually, no, he's going to fight Douchebag.
Yeah, they were already squaring up in this one. Although we saw Megami now has Tonfas for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason. Well, they all got weapons, right? That was the one thing. The chick was the weapon master. She's like, no, fight with weapons is like the training. So it makes sense.
Yeah, true.
Either way, I'm excited. It's probably going to be a lot of battling in the next couple episodes, which is something I'm down for because it's a fucking shonen. So
yeah, like it doesn't have to be a straight up tournament arc, but having a nice battle arc is always good.
Yeah.
Something a little bit less story driven, but something a little bit more action heavy is.
Yeah, because we didn't actually get that much action in the last arc. It was a lot of really story important stuff, and a little bit darkness with the death of that one guy.
Yeah, because even
Junpei, something along those lines.
Yeah, because even the big fight there was more character driven as opposed to straight up combat. So.
Yeah, so we're gonna get some straight up combat between the side characters though, as is customary of a tournament arc.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing a panda rubber robot apart.
Same.
I didn't know I needed that in my life until I saw the preview.
Same. So that's probably gonna be next week. So yeah, if you have any thoughts about Jujutsu Kaisen or any thoughts about the subreddit that won't let me post, let us know down below. And as I said earlier, if you're someone who comes here and watches the Jujutsu part, just let us know because I'm just curious.
Yeah, we appreciate knowing exactly what people are watching. If we have to change the lineup a little bit, it'd be good to know. So
yeah, it's good to know early on. So yeah, we'll be talking about next week's episode next week, of course, when we get to it.
Yeah, and if you're on the Jujutsu subreddit, it's probably because I posted it because they won't let him post there anymore. So
yeah, true.
Especially after this.
But yeah, if you're there, we'll see you next week for that episode. Okay. And next up on the list is this week's special, because we swapped it from last week, which was Horimiya.
This week we're doing Quintessential Quintuplets.
Yeah, so we talked about this, I think, for episode 1, because we were doing kind of the special where we gave everything like a discussion when the first episodes came out. We didn't talk about 2, and we decided this week we're going to talk about that instead of Horimiya.
Correct.
A lot of it was plot development over character development, in this one especially. One of the overlying plots is A, main character gets married to one of these 5 girls.
Yeah, that's kind of the entire premise. So.
Yeah, and then 2 or B was the whole early on he met one of these girls. We know it's one of these girls, but
yeah, he's an idiot and doesn't.
He's in like denial because he 100% knows, but he's just in denial. So and in this episode especially, we're kind of progressing that plot about the girl he met when he was younger.
Yeah, because a girl looking like that appears and describes herself as Rena.
Yeah.
Interesting name choice, but
I'm assuming Ren is the name of their mother. I think she's using the fake name. A couple interesting parts in this one. So actually, it was the end of last one where she first comes up.
Yeah, she pops up at the end of the last one, and then
he just comes in wet.
Yeah, then Nino brings him into her room.
So this one, you're kind of seeing what led from the moment he met her to what made him wet. He goes on a little phrasing. They went on a little boat ride. On the boat ride, he shows like the picture, that kind of stuff. They talk a little bit. She's like, "Oh, you're studying really hard and all that kind of stuff." And
yeah, I heard you became a tutor, and
yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, tell me about the people you tutor." And he's just like, the descriptions are fucking hilarious. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, this is Nino. She fucking really cares about her family and this, but she's dumb. Oh, this is Yotsubo. She's like really active. She cares about this, and she's dumb." Every single girl, it just finishes with and she's an idiot or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of see it shows back to Rena, and she has like a little bit of a blushy face on. In case it wasn't obvious, she's one of these 5 girls. Now, before we even get into the rest of the plot, who do you think it is? Because that's obviously the most important part.
I'm not going to say anything because I said this when we started this. I read ahead in the manga because I didn't think it was getting a season 2.
So who they actually said who it was in the manga? Wow. Okay, well, can I tell you who it's not?
Nino?
It's not Nino, right? The revelation, because she would, I guess she did, Rena left the boat for him, so she could realistically get back to the hotel.
She would have known he was wet, so she wouldn't have felt guilty about it.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't have been bawling her eyes out when he told her the story.
Yeah, and even in the story, she would have been like, we would have seen more of her facial expressions being like blushing, knowing it's her kind of thing. So that's obviously the one it's not. The one that it seems most likely to be, even just from the hints from the last couple episodes, would be Itsuki.
She would be the logical choice.
She was obviously the logical choice because she was pressing him about this girl multiple times. She's like the only one to know. She didn't even seem like surprised. And the other thing about Nino that I mentioned before too is that Nino has seen the picture of young him before, the blonde.
And she didn't recognize him.
She didn't recognize him. She just thought he was hot, which is still kind of weird.
I think it's more just the fact that she's into the bad boy blonde with earrings thing.
I know, but like, imagine just pulling out a picture of your wallet of like you, like when you're like 7 and be like, check this out. And some like 16-year-old girl's like, that's fucking hot. A little weird. I know it's anime though, so everything's kind of weird.
Yeah, there's always that weird what the fuck moment, but
yeah, but we're still along the same arc. If you watched episode 2, which I assume if you're watching this you did, of Nino and Itsuki got into like a fight. They both left the house. Itsuki went to stay with the main character temporarily.
Yeah.
And then Nino, just because she didn't forget her wallet, and somehow at this point Itsuki couldn't find her wallet. She couldn't just get that.
I mean, they specifically say Yotsuba brought her textbooks and all the shit she needed for school, but didn't bring her wallet.
Not her wallet. So I think she just wants to stay there.
Probably.
But yeah, Nino's staying at a very nice hotel. They are acknowledging the fight was actually made a lot of sense. Like I really liked when they showed the fight in episode 2. Basically, what's the main character's name? I know it's just drawing a blank right now in my mind.
Usugi or Usugi.
Yeah, Usugi, something along that lines.
It sounds like Usagi, and it makes me think rabbit every time I hear it.
I can't remember what his first name. He has a first name that they must mention.
I only remember Yotsuba saying it.
Okay,
I only remember her saying.
So Usugi stayed up all night working on very nice study papers, basically like a fake
handwritten, hand curated,
everything. Stayed up all night, and just because then when he was trying to give it to them, Nina was like frustrated. Basically, she then took the papers and like ripped them in half.
Yeah, her and Miku specifically started getting into it over it, and
her and Miku started getting into it because Miku obviously is probably the most open with her crush on. Usugi.
Yeah, everyone else is kind of in question or in contention.
I think it was episode 2 where fucking my favorite, which is Ichika, definitely 100% said it. She's like, oh, why? She's like, it had to be you, basically, right?
Yeah, her and Miku are the two who have fallen so far.
But yeah, Miku gets upset because Nino's kind of treating him like shit. Then Nino rips up the papers, and then Itsuki, knowing she's already at this point known the work he put in by staying up all night and that kind of stuff. She just walks up, gives Nino the old bitch slap across the face.
Yeah, which she fucking deserved.
She did deserve. Yeah, that's just a fact.
I'm sorry to all the Nino fanboys, but she deserved to get slapped.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Nino fan, you're also fucking you like the yanderes. That's just a fact. Or
I mean, she's not even a yandere because she isn't violent. She's a tsundere without the dere.
She has drugged the main character multiple times now.
I mean. Okay, yeah.
The show makes a real. I don't know. Listen, they need to show what she's drugging him with, because if she's just got fucking a pill, like a bottle of Rooflin on her at all times, ready to go, I'm more concerned. But yeah, obviously after the slap, the two of them get in a fight. They both argue, then they leave. Obviously, we've seen that Nino didn't understand. She didn't know that these were like. Well, I mean, if she used her eyes, she could have seen they were handwritten, but she didn't know that he stayed up all night just trying to help them, kind of thing.
Yeah, she also didn't know that each one was selected for each of them individually.
Yeah, and in this episode, the current one, she finds out about that. She feels bad. She put them back together, kind of thing.
Yeah, she actually worked.
She literally apologizes to the main character, so she knows, but she still doesn't want to like fix the fight. Because she's like, oh, she's never hit me before and that kind of stuff. And at this point, it's not even, the fight's no longer even about what it was originally about. It's just like a pride thing, which I think everyone kind of gets. Everyone's been in that situation before.
Yeah, definitely. It also ties back to how she feels like she's kind of been left behind because everyone else has changed so much from how they were.
Okay. Big question. Are we getting a Nino haircut?
No comment.
Okay. Let me tell you, to the people that don't know, why we're probably getting a Nino haircut. So in this, one of the main points that she makes is she is the only one who hasn't cut their hair. That's like her thing. Everyone else has moved on. They're all kind of like, they're growing.
They've changed their hairstyle at some point.
Yeah, and she is the only one who's still basically like holding on to like their old lifestyle, that kind of stuff. And in that, it's represented with like the fact that she's never cut her hair. Yeah. So 100% we're getting a Nino haircut. That's like her symbolize that she's moving on. But yeah, this was obviously a big Nino episode. Like we see a little bit of Itsuki. We see the stuff going on with Rena. Where she gets mad at Usugi after because does he just say? It's because
she hasn't accepted himself and accepted the work
he's kind of harsh on himself, and because of that she gets pissed, hops off the boat, and the last minute she throws him like the little it's like a charm.
Yeah, it's a charm.
Being like, oh, like
open this when you've accepted yourself.
Yeah. And then she kind of bails, and then because of that he like tips off the boat and falls. That's why he's wet.
Which, I mean, it makes me think the charm would probably be destroyed, but
yeah. And then while he's telling Nino the story, Nino kind of starts crying like, oh, that's so sad and all that kind of shit. You're waiting like 5 years to meet her, that kind of shit, which is funny. And that's where you start to get like the Nino apology and that kind of crap.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the episode mainly focuses on Nino wants to meet, what did he call himself, his cousin. It's not Kenichi.
Kentaro.
Yeah, Kentaro. I was like, it's not Kenichi, but it's something close.
Yeah, I think his name is very close to Kentaro too.
Maybe. But yeah, so as we season 1 at the whole like winter the ski trip, the kind of thing, he put on the blonde wig and basically pretended to be his cousin after Nino found the hot picture of the little kid. I don't like that sentence either. But and then she kind of like fell in love with him. She gave him the bracelet, which Nino already found the bracelet on the main character and took it off, and like, this isn't yours, or whatever like that. Not even questioning how he got the bracelet.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the fact that I don't get why he didn't just say like, yeah, I went through a phase.
I mean, there's a lot of issues. Obviously, when you're watching this, you're like, there's no human way that Nino would not know that he is actually Kentaro. And then in this episode, they're doing the classic like. he's like, oh yeah, he's gonna come over and have a date with you, and then he's actually in the blonde wig, and then Nino keeps leaving the room, getting nervous and calling him, and he's like, oh fuck, just go back to the date, like who cares? And she's like, do you think he loves cream puffs? And he's like, yeah, he loves cream puffs.
There's his favorite, yeah.
And then he comes over and she makes cream puffs. He's like, I love cream puffs. Like, it's very funny, but you're like, there's no way. Like in anime, it kind of makes sense. It's like the old Superman thing, though. How the fuck do you not recognize his face? In real life, not everyone has the same face. Sure, in anime they do because they're all typically drawn the same way. But a lot of it is about like their little date, and he keeps wanting to tell her that it's actually him, but he's like having trouble finding the right time.
Yeah. And then there's what you mentioned.
What did I mention?
Well, she calls him down, like.
Oh yeah, she calls Uesugi down to discuss him. Yeah. She pulls up his sleeve, seeing that he has the bracelet.
And then he hits the floor.
Yeah, she's like, you won't be able to trick me this time or something like that. And then, he had the drink that she brought him, and then he just gets knocked out.
Which there's the fact that she still thinks Kentaro is an actual person because she says, you're not twins after all.
Yeah.
So...
I'm a little confused as to what the fuck she's doing at the end. I'm like, does she still think that Kentaro is a separate person? He's pretending to be Kentaro right now?
Yeah, or do you think I'd actually buy that you have a cousin that looks exactly like you but blonde?
Yeah, I'm just confused altogether at what's going on. And then the very last reveal we get is her like answering the door or something like that, and it looks like it's Miku dressed as her.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's literally, I'm pretty sure it's Miku because like the voice and the attitude and that kind of stuff, but she had like the ribbons in the hair and stuff like that, which I'm wondering where the shit they're going with this. Like,
yeah, because it showed that she left the hotel.
Yeah, she left the hotel, and then he's like, he's talking to Itsuki about how he wants them to apologize or make up, but now he doesn't know where she is.
Yeah,
he has no idea where she's gone this time. There's also a little bit of drama going on with Ichika and Miku and Yotsuba about them wanting to stop Yotsuba on the track team because she's actually not enjoying it. She just has a hard time saying no to people.
Yeah, it's specifically that she's being taken advantage of. And
yeah, it's affecting her studies, and she's not even really enjoying it at this point. So they're like, Ichika's like, oh, I'm the fucking older sister. I'm going to take care of this shit. I'm going to go talk to them. It's like a little subplot. But then, then the ending, though, was just like it was Nino. I'm pretty sure talking to Miku, but Miku had the ribbons in the hair just like her, like the same things. So I'm wondering what the shit's going on there.
I think it's Miku just trying to make up and just like, hey, listen.
You don't think it's like some sort of weird Nino plot?
I mean, this season is going to be Nino-centric.
I'm not a big fan of that.
Hey, you got your Ichika last season.
Yeah, that's okay. Ichika got some good parts last season, but we need some better parts this season.
You just sound selfish now.
No. I'm not selfish. Obviously, Quintessential Quintuplets is one of the anime that you might have one of the more. The only one I can think about other than that is maybe ReZero. But Quintessential Quintuplets with 5 separate girls. The separation between people's fan base has just got to be crazy.
I mean, it's like any show like this. I think the same thing happened when people were watching Nisekoi. There were freaking Nisekoi army memes going around.
It's true, but at least for Nisekoi, you only had possibly 2 outcomes.
No, everyone was arguing for every freaking girl, so there was 5 of the damn things.
This one, there's definitely 5 of them, plus Rena. That makes 6.
I mean,
because it's a separate character, right?
From what we've established, they all look like Rena, just with different hairstyles.
Yeah.
So technically, you could get Rena with any of them.
That's true.
You just need a wig.
Obviously, in the second episode you didn't cover, he comes to the conclusion that it was actually one of these 5 girls. But then at the end, he's kind of like, no, you're an idiot. It isn't one of these 5 girls. How could it be? So I think he definitely knows. He's just in denial. But I mean, it was a good episode. I'm still curious what the fuck's going on with Nino, and I'm just a little bit confused by the whole plot. Does she know that he was actually Kentaro the whole time? Does she think that Kentaro is a real person? He was just faking it this once as him? Like,
I'm not gonna lie. I read this a long time ago. So, well, I know the broad strokes. I don't remember this specifically. So
I wonder how long they're gonna keep the Itsuki and Nino fight going for. Like, I wonder if that's gonna be like resolved at the end of the next episode, or if it's gonna keep going.
I mean, I think the way the character progression goes, having Nino kind of drop her pride and accept them is probably the best way to end this arc or end that fight. So it really just depends.
But is she going to do that?
Yeah, it depends on how long you think it'll take to do that.
Well, yeah, I don't know if she's like pissed at the main character right now because he was pretending to be this other person, like leading her on, or if she's now going to like kind of have if her crush for the main character is now grown, knowing that he's actually also the person that she liked. I don't know.
But the thing is, the person that she liked, she only liked because he was blonde.
Yeah, he's got a wig. He could dye his hair anytime back. He just won't.
Yeah, I know, because he's trying to leave that part of him behind.
Yeah, okay, just because he's leaving that part of him behind doesn't mean he has to have such a stupid mushroom cut, though. He could be not blonde and still have a better hairstyle.
To be fair, he said he only has a haircut because that's the only one his hairstylist knows how to do.
That's true. Well, his hairstylist is his sister. So, I mean, fucking his dad's got a cool hairstyle, though. His dad looks awesome.
Yeah, for all we know, he cuts his own hair.
Yeah, my question right now is we assume that, like many anime or shows, he has dyed his hair blonde when he was a kid, but his dad's blonde. So what if he's actually dyed his hair dark?
Yeah, because they never really established what his mom looks like. Though
I'm
his
assuming
sister has dark
His sister has dark hair, but maybe it's like the classic one child each, which is what they do in anime all the time with the separate hair colors. And he's actually naturally blonde, and he dyes it because blonde is too edgy. And he's like, no, I gotta look like a good student. I gotta look like a good boy.
I mean, that is possible. Except for he also had the generic earring when he was a kid.
That's true.
And I feel like the dad would be the type to dye his hair.
You think the dad's like, hey, son, you know what's cool? Dyeing your hair and getting an earring. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I did that when I was a kid, and that was because my dad also. So very similar story. So
you're making fun of it. It's like, wait, that was actually the situation with me. What the?
But yeah, it was a good episode, entertaining as always. I'm excited for next week, even if we don't talk about it on the podcast. If Horror Me has a better one, either way, if you're a fan of the show, you can keep up on the podcast, and we'll be talking about it every now and then whenever there's a big plot episode.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye out, and that's everything we got for Quintessential Quintuplets. Yeah. Next up on the list, Mushoku Tensei. So that came out today.
Yeah, we're on episode 3, and this episode is titled "A Friend."
A friend. So I mean, there's a plot twist in this episode that every single person on the entire Earth saw coming.
Yeah.
This episode, obviously, it starts off with him. Since the last episode, he is now accepted leaving the house. He's kind of excited about it.
Yeah.
You know, his master fixed that issue with him, and he's excited to go out. And on his very first outside of the castle, he makes a nice new friend. It's the classic 3 kids are throwing mud at a kid, and then once the one switches to rocks, he decides that's too far.
Yeah.
So he steps in, starts throwing his magic bubbles at them. And then when he saves the friend, he's like, oh, fuck, that's a cute little boy.
Yeah, like you can see the otaku in him coming through, and he just refers to him as a shota, and it's like, okay, man,
yeah,
calm
he's
down.
like, oh, fuck, this boy's so cute.
Yeah, there's somebody in my world that would go nuts over this. I think the part that actually annoyed me was that he just kept saying it over and over again. He just didn't let it drop.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the show was. We already knew after the first hint, the twist about the character. The show didn't need to keep telling us, but
yeah,
maybe they were actually making a play on the fact that every other show does this, and that's what they're like joking about. But yeah, the main reason this kid's being bullied is because they have like the greenish hair, which is a sign of the demon race.
Yeah, the one specific cell dot.
Something.
It's something like that. I know that's not it.
But yeah, as he was told by his master, it's the hair and also like a red gem on their forehead. So this kid could just happen to have it's obviously we learn they're a half elf. Their dad's like a half elf, which I think would make them a quarter elf again. But I mean, whatever.
I mean, I think it's like D&D. Half elf, it just refers to any race bred with some form of elf bloodline. Now they're a half elf.
True. But yeah, he checks for the crystal. It's not there. So he's like, oh, I don't have to be worried about you. And then he immediately establishes a friendship with this kid.
Yeah.
Little fun detail when you get to the end of the episode, if you didn't notice it originally, is he asks what their name is, and they say Sylph, and then thunder strikes.
Or wind blows.
Wind blows, and the kid gets a little scared and like stops the sentence, and he's like, oh, Sylph, that's a cool name. It's like a wind thing. And then as you get to later in the episode, you realize that they were gonna complete that sentence. They were gonna keep saying the name, but they got distracted.
Yeah, what was it, Sylphiette?
Sylphiette, yeah. And I think he calls her Sylphie at the last part, which makes more sense because no one wants to say Sylphiette every single time.
Yeah, it's a little.
That's literally like the joke of when I take a male name and you add like et at the end, you know. But yeah, either way. So as the episode progresses, there is like a part in this episode I really like though, which is this conversation with his dad.
Which one?
The main one. So originally when we first see him before he goes off, his dad basically is like, it's not just, you don't just have power for the sake of having power. He's like, why do you have power? And, avoiding all the joke answers. He's like, oh, to protect the weak. And his dad's like, exactly. And then, when he fights off these kids, one of the kids' mothers goes to the dad and is like, hey, your kid punched my kid in the face or some shit.
Which I'm kind of curious about how he did that much damage.
Maybe one of the other kids fucking punched him in the face to make it seem like he did. That's a classic like kid revenge thing they do in shows.
Yeah, punch yourself in the face. Like he did it. It's like
unless he really threw that water ball with some force.
Even then, I feel like the whole face would deflect. Like it would have broken the nose. Like
you'd think. But yeah, so because that, as soon as Rudius gets home, his dad just starts fucking yelling at him. And as Rudius even slightly tries to explain himself, you get the classic parent like no excuses. Yeah. It's like you're asking for an answer, but you want no answer because whatever I answer is an excuse. And then his dad immediately goes in to give him the old backhand, give him the old slap.
Yeah.
And then, Rudius just fucking comes up and kind of outplays him. He's playing 3D chess all over his argument.
Yeah, specifically gets up, starts calling him out on everything, saying you told me to protect the weak, but I guess I can't do that if you're just gonna get mad at me over this. So
Yeah, he's like, you know what, you're right. I should have actually helped those kids bully the other kid. Added a fourth one to their party. He's like, I should just do that all the time. And then when I leave this house eventually, I'm gonna fucking give up the last name of a gray rat or what the hell it is.
yeah, it's great, rat.
Because this is what I've learned. It's a trash family, and the dad kind of is a little bit.
Then the dad actually sits down and is like, wait. Okay, explain this shit.
Yeah, and then the dad's like, oh, no, okay, like, tell me what happened. He's like, oh, you didn't want any excuses, though. And, the dad kind of gets pwned. But then as you see the dad talking to the mom, kind of being like, oh, me and Rudy's got in a fight today. That kid would leave home right now if I told him to. And he's like, oh, like you did with your dad. So, he's got some daddy issues himself. So
that's always the case in that.
He's still a young father. He's trying to overcome, dealing with how to deal with a first child, especially one who's not difficult, but different.
Yeah, because he's literally raising someone who's already been raised. So
yeah, he's like dealing. His kid is not like normal kids. He's not having. They mentioned this that they thought he was like sick or something because he never cried as a kid.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that he just never left the house, so they were worried he was just going to be sickly. And
yeah, so it's a lot to deal with. So yeah, his dad was kind of a dick in the first part, but at least when you get to that part of the character development, learning about his father and stuff like that, you're like, okay, it at least makes sense. And even in this episode, you see him kind of grow.
Yeah, 'cause even during the argument, you see Rudy is kind of say like, "Listen, dude, I spent most of my life weaseling out of arguments that I couldn't win. So
yeah,
and I'm actually in the right this time."
Then later in the episode, a situation happens again where Rudius is, at least Rudius in this one is actually in the wrong in his own mind. But while he's explaining to his dad's like, "I'm not making the same mistake again." He's like, "Tell me what happened." And then he kind of told him what happened, and so the father's already learning from his mistakes, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And then most of the rest of the episode kind of focuses around, he starts teaching his friend Sylphie how to do magic. He actually builds a bond. They become friends. And then one day after, she learns how to do the spell with no incantation, which he's kind of upset about.
Yeah, he's just like,
which
crap.
I get. I was with him. I was like, no, don't use it. I was like, we want this main character to be special, right? Like everyone wants the main character to be special.
I mean, just the fact that he figured this out makes him kind of special.
It's true. And I assume that she would never be as good as him still because, he started learning earlier. He's, evolved his mana pool a lot since he's been like just born. But so as he teaches her, rain starts. They have to go back and take a bath. And that's where you get the crazy reveal. Shocker. Sylph is actually Sylphiette and she's actually a woman.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of surprised that it took him that long to make that joke, but
yeah, I mean, we all knew it as soon as she came in. It was a little bit weird as he's trying to undress her and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it got a little creepy, and then
it gets a little creepy. But at least like Rudius never he made some weird comments for sure. He's like, oh, this is like the thing after they pulled the pants out. He's like, this is the thing I've spent so much time shooting like a white rocket out to online.
Yeah, a lot of euphemisms in that sentence.
But at least he never actually got perverted about this specific child character. He literally, after that, he took the bath with his dad. He felt bad the entire time. He was upset. Yeah. He apologized. And then, it was a little bit awkward with their friendship for a little while. So he goes to his dad for advice.
I think the best part was when he went to apologize. It's like, I actually thought you were a guy, and that just made it worse.
Listen, he's just telling the truth, though.
I know, but like, can you imagine actually walking up to him like, sorry, I thought you were a man?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a little more sense because they're children.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be like that'd be really awkward if you were like a full grown adult and you were friends with someone for a long time. You're like, oh, sorry, man. Thought you were a dude the whole time. You're actually a girl. But yeah, it obviously starts off a little bit rocky for the relationship. So he goes to his dad for his advice, and the advice his dad gives is just so good. But also, even at the end, the very last thing we see is dad's like, should I have given him that advice at his age? Yeah, it's about how to manipulate, basically how to manipulate women. Yeah, it's like, no, you got to show them that you're vulnerable because women like that. The line that was my favorite though, which is still actually a really good line, is that women like your strengths and they like your weaknesses, not in between. Which is really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, he acknowledges the fact that what he just told his son, and because it immediately worked, was basically just, fake expose your weaknesses, to look, to get women basically.
Yeah, he'd even rationalize it. It's like if someone who was significantly more powerful than you was actively chasing you, how would you feel? It's like, scared. Exactly. So make yourself look weak.
Yeah. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, then the very last scene is the dad being like, should I have taught him that at his age?
Yeah.
Which was good. It was very entertaining.
You definitely got a lot of character development just from the dad this episode, actually, thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. We put the mom on the back burner for a little bit, but we got good Paul background.
Yeah, I didn't even know his name before this. So when they said the name Paul, I'm like, who the fuck is Paul?
I don't remember the mom's name now, so we need her story now so we can remember her name.
I feel like we already got her story when she was like, he should learn magic.
I did also like the whole, like, the Rudy's, there's been like a slight time skip, obviously, before he learns it's a female. and he talks about how those bullies keep coming after him, but he just keeps fucking fighting them off.
Yeah.
Because he's too good. And then he talks about how like that mom keeps going up to Paul, but at this point he thinks that she's just doing it because she likes Paul.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't even think she really cares about what's going on with her son. She just wants excuses to go see him.
Yeah, maybe she's egging the son on just to go after him. It's like, I need a reason to go see him today. Go.
I was kind of hoping we get a little bit more shots of them actually trying to bully, and then Rudy is just fucking wrecking them.
Yeah, especially considering Sylphie now has magic.
It's true.
But
It's probably a confidence thing still. But yeah, he's a fucking, even Paul mentions he's a sacred level water user in this. Imagine him just using that fucking whatever that huge spell is on those kids.
If he so desired, he can reduce those kids to a cloud of red mist.
I think that's one of the things Paul was worried about, though, to be fair.
Yeah. Like, okay, he punched them in the face. That's a childish thing to do, but he didn't tactical nuke them.
There was just so much about, like, it actually was a really good episode for Paul, like, his character, because he even admits, like, in a self-monologue, or I think it might have been to the mom, he's like, he liked the fact that Rudius just punched a kid in the face, because he's like, that's what kids do. And then if anything, he was a little bit more off, but then we found out that that's not what he was doing. It was just really good overall.
Yeah.
Entertaining episode. Probably not much more to dive into than that. Do you think we're getting, how much of a time skip are we going to get in the next episode?
I don't think we're actually going to get much of a hard time skip. Maybe a few months just to see them progress a little bit, but
probably. I would say I think we're at least going to get a few months every single episode until they're at the age that most of the season's going to run off of.
Yeah, because I don't think we're going to get to adult Rudius in this series.
No, probably not. That might be like the start of season 2.
Yeah.
But I think it looks like from like the title or like the the title card, like the show art and stuff like that, it feels like he's probably going to be like 13 or something around like his main age in this.
I mean, maybe, yeah.
So, or like 10 to 13. So we have somewhere to go, I think, till he gets to that.
And that kind of pre-adolescent stage. And
yeah, and I think it might focus on if he ends up actually going to that magic school, maybe. That might be like one of the main settings for it after he leaves the house.
That would make a lot of
it just
sense.
depends on how big of a build-up they're going to get before we get there. Like, how much are they setting this up? Are we going to get another like 3 episodes first to really build his character, maybe Sylphie's character to go with them?
Because, I mean, a big part of it before was that he didn't really get to live out that mid stage of life before he died. So he did establish that he had a childhood friend.
Mm-hmm.
So he obviously had something of in a childhood. So,
because, I mean, you got to know where it went wrong, right? We've seen him at his worst, but we haven't seen how he got there exactly.
Yeah, I think someone in the comments, either the last video or the episode before, gave us a little context.
Mm-hmm.
And basically everything went to shit for him in high school because he didn't study, got into a really shitty one.
The classic place.
Which, I mean, I thought high school was optional in Japan, so maybe I'm wrong about that. But
high school is confusing in Japan. I think sometimes like I don't know if it is anymore. I think up until a few years ago, the last 2 years of high school were optional.
Maybe.
Those were only if you wanted to go take your studies farther to like post-secondary, and anyone who was going to enter the working force only had to do the first 2 years of high school. I think they have recently changed it, so it's now mandatory to do all of them. Because I know some places like Australia and stuff did that too. So, don't quote me on this. I'm not exactly super knowledgeable about the world's schooling system. But yeah, either way, I'm excited to see where we go. I think we're going to have at least a few months every single episode of time skip.
Yeah, and seeing how this character develops is kind of interesting because I think even in this episode, we kind of established something because at the start of the series, we established he was enjoying very questionable material.
Yep.
In this episode, he kind of get exposed to that and he kind of freaked out about it.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, the very first thing in the episode we see is him like praying to fucking his master's panties, right?
I mean, yeah, but it kind of showed like, okay, maybe he isn't as fucked up as we thought he is.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying though. I'm very happy that he didn't actually like his character didn't take the obviously young girl in any sort of perverted way. We don't want that to be our character staple.
Yeah, he was just shocked like, oh shit, I thought you were a dude.
And I know some people out there will still think it's like, at one point, let's say he gets to like even like 16 and then she's 16 and he has like a romantic relationship with the character. Some people out there are still going to claim that's weird. But if you realistically look in a sense like he's reincarnated in this world no matter what, is he only going to try and date like 50-year-olds as like a 16-year-old because that's what makes sense as his old life?
I mean, the big question would be because there's the physical appearance versus the mental age. Because based on the life he lived before, he probably didn't actually have that advanced of a mental age if you think about it.
Probably not. But even it's like, what would you want of someone? Like, obviously, this isn't a realistic situation because people don't reincarnate as far as we know. But it's like you'd either ask for his character to always date people that are like 30 years older than him because it makes sense for his mental, or to never, date anyone at all and then not even live the second life he's been given the chance to.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I don't want to see him, at like 8 years old, having weird things going on with other 8-year-olds because that's one of the things that kind of like off-put us about something like By God's Grace and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think when he's like 16 or 18 or something like that, it's going to be weird if he is like, there's a lot of like other 16 to 18-year-old girls around him and they're like sexualizing that. I'm like, I think that's probably pretty standard. Yeah. I don't think you can avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, once he hits like the early 20s, at that point, like anything's fair game with his own age group. But
Yeah.
anything before that, you can kind of question the.
Which is why I'm glad
Experience.
in this episode that they did not go that way at all. So
Yeah, I was very happy about that.
he was
where
just
it's
much
like-
more emotionally upset by the fact that he upset his friend. So
Yeah, it actually showed he's kind of grown as a person as opposed to trying to live out the fantasies of his previous life.
yeah, just being like a weird pervert.
Yeah, like that could have definitely put a big stigma on the show for me if they'd done that. So,
Yeah, I agree. It could have.
like, there's still the weird ass shit he does with Roxy, but
Yeah, but I don't know. That's once again, that's slightly more acceptable because she is, at least as far as we know, of an older age.
yeah,
So
I know.
It's like
but
not as
still,
weird.
It's still weird.
It's true, but like in our minds, it's not as weird for him to be chasing older women because he's at least aiming for women
Yeah.
that are maybe around the age group he would actually be able to
We,
date.
we don't even know what age Roxy is technically.
We don't know. We assume
So-
older than 16, hopefully.
I mean, I'm hoping for like 18 plus, but,
But like in the first episode, it was always funny when he's going after like the maid and stuff like that, though. Pretty funny.
yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for Mushoku Tensei.
Yeah.
Depending on what episodes we get in the future, we're either going to be talking about it or not talking about it. So if you're watching Mushoku Tensei, just let us know down below. That way we
Yeah.
can always know if we have a big enough fan base for that to cover it every single week.
Yeah, maybe bump it up from possibly being every week to every week. So
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so next up, big one, of course, the final thing we're going to talk about today will be Attack on Titan episode 67.
assault.
Assault indeed. So obviously we left off last week with the pretty big banger. It was the first episode after the big cliffhanger with the Eren encountering Reiner, and we had pretty much an entire episode of just action.
Oh yeah.
We talked about it a lot last week. It was pretty much just a nonstop fight, and this week did not change it up. It just amped it up.
Yeah, no, we saw even more progression in terms of the fight and even just escalation in the warfare, just with more Titans rolling up. So.
Yeah, there's so much shit going on in this one. You're seeing less human in this, I think, like less human fighting, and this one's just all about the Titans.
Yeah, we do see some soldiers firing weapons at the Scout Corps, and then there's also the machine gunners, obviously, when Peak rolls up.
Yeah, like there are still people using weaponry in this, but I mean, in this one alone, like in the last one, you had Eren versus the Warhammer Titan, which was pretty cool, and then right at the end, the Jaw Titan came in.
Yeah.
But this one, you have Eren fighting the Jaw Titan mixed with like Levi fighting the Jaw Titan. You had the Warhammer Titan still there as like a kind of like a background threat, even attacking Eren at one point still.
Yeah.
You had fucking the Cart Titan Peak coming in to mesh it up. You had Zeke come in as the Beast Titan. And then at the end, of course, you get the Armor Titan popping it too. Not to mention seeing fucking Armin at one point do the nuclear explosion as the Colossal Titan.
Yeah.
So you see almost every single Titan on the board currently.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was actually missing, was
The
there?
only, the female Titan, if
I mean, okay, yeah.
if she's alive.
For all the actively fighting Titans we're aware of, they all showed up in this.
Yes.
So
Yes. I'm trying to double check. I'm like, yeah, I think that's true.
I can't think of any that are missing that, like other than the female Titan.
Yeah, other than possibly Annie, if she's here, if she's even a character anymore. We still have no idea. Show hasn't told us yet. But yeah, this is like all action this episode. I'm trying to think of really, you got a little bit of character development from like Falco. Obviously this episode, Falco comes back. He was protected by Reiner using his Titan transformation, pretty much just putting the hands together, making a little safe spot. Is what it appeared to be.
It wasn't a full transformation. It was just enough to keep the debris off Falco.
And then, as Falco comes up, he kind of wonders why Reiner isn't transforming to help out with this fight. And then it's, that's a new piece of information for us, is that to fully restore, like to have that regeneration ability, he has to have the will to live.
Yeah, which at the end of the last time, we kind of established that he didn't have anymore.
In one of the, not last episode, but the one before that,
yeah.
the last episode is what the flashback Falco shows, where it shows him begging like Eren to kill him. And that's obviously what Falco is seeing. But I mean, we've also seen him put a shotgun in his mouth and want to press the trigger.
Yeah, like the fact that he's even still standing is kind of impressive at this point.
Yeah, so not shocking he doesn't have the will to live. But as we saw later in the thing, we got a very classic anime moment.
Yeah.
The will to live came back.
Yeah, people screaming for help, and he's sitting there going, "Shut up!"
But yeah, a lot of this episode is still focused on Eren is trying to eat the Warhammer Titan. We see him attempt at one point to take a little nibble out.
And it just rips a big chunk of his own jaw.
Just rips a chunk of his jaw. Yeah, the Warhammer Titan does use a little bit of his last strength to try and shoot up some hardened spears into him, but it doesn't even go through Eren's hardened hand. That's why Eren kind of knows it's completely out of energy, and Eren's like, "I'm not out of energy though," and he drops out of his Titan. Eren falls down, turns into another second one.
Yeah.
So. Not mixed with that, you actually see a very surprising little amount of Mikasa or Levi in action.
Yeah, I think the arrival of the Car Titan does kind of suppress them.
Yeah, because that's right now probably the most effective Titan against all the humans. Peak even mentions the machine gun is like super effective against the scouts, which is a good thing for them. Because Peak is still one of the people who has actually fought scouts before and been in battle, unlike Porco, for instance, who is kind of a shit. He's kind of shitty in this fight so far.
I mean, he's kind of arrogant. He's kind of stupid because he doesn't know anything about them. He doesn't know anything about proper warfare, I think.
Yeah, in the episode we get Peak. He wants to just rush in, and Peak's like, no, listen, like we don't want to rush in. We have the advantage. We have them surrounded by soldiers. They're using fuel and stuff like that, which they won't have endless resources of. Yeah. So she is right. Obviously, something is a little bit of flaw in her plan, which somehow they all forgot about the fact that they don't have the Colossal Titan.
Yeah, maybe they just... I still think they maybe just assumed that they weren't going to blow up the bay. Maybe they just thought they would try and detonate it in the city if they were going to use it.
Well, they might have thought that this is still like a small operation, like not including everybody, that this is more of a last-minute thing with like Eren being here and them trying to rescue Eren. Maybe not thinking that they actually had a built plan, such as, explosion in the wharf, mixed with, a fucking blimp coming over and rescuing everybody and...
Yeah, which that's a new development as well. We didn't know they actually even had the technology for this.
No, yeah, we saw it in a couple like minutes before it actually showed up originally. Because after Armin gets out of his Colossal Titan, you see a little bit of it up in the top as he shoots up, and then a couple minutes later we see the actual reveal of the fucking size of it. First of all,
we see Hang and Armin on it just discussing the combat. It's like, you're insane, right? It's like,
she's like, did you get that insanity from Erwin? He's like, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, the Colossal Titan explosion was pretty epic. It's about exactly what we expected. We were waiting for them to nuke. You see the Navy coming in and then a small little boat beside, and they're like, hey, you can't go this way. And then he just takes off the hood, and it's, thank God, no more lame mushroom cut Erwin. So that's pretty good. He nukes, explodes. And then in this, you just see, like, pretty much it's just constantly they're getting wrecked, right? Originally, for a second, you think that, okay, now Eren's pretty outnumbered.
Yeah, and you see the moment when the Beast Titan rolls up and he just wrecks a bunch of shit. And it's like,
the
okay, this is
Titan,
turning against them.
Then the Cart Titan rolls up and wrecks a bunch of shit. Like, it's turning against them. And then all of a sudden, within like 5 minutes, it's all the characters being shocked at how everything just not gone their way.
Yeah, in the course of about a minute and a half, all their Titans are down.
Yeah, you see, Levi comes out just for one quick attack, just hits Zeke to the ground, drops the grenade in him, and then the fucking Cart Titan wants to come help and then gets completely wrecked. Starts off with Sasha giving a little bit of a headshot to one of the guys.
Yeah, the moment I saw her, it's like, well, the machine gunner's about to die.
Yeah, the funny part too is as they zoom in to show that she shot the guy in the head, he's got like the family pictures in the back.
Yeah, there's the family picture, the squad photo. It's like, well,
it's like, feel bad that she just killed this guy. I'm like, nope, sorry.
Yeah, I feel worse for the scouts he shot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then that distracts her for a minute, and then they come in and they shoot a bunch of the thunder spears at her, pretty much destroy everyone on her and fuck her up quite a bit.
Yeah, she's still alive, but she's in rough shape. So.
Yeah, she's fallen to the ground. That's where Gabby comes over, and as she comes out, she's like, run. And then even at that point, you have like Porco. He just wants to fucking go take out Eren. He's like, no, if I just take out the Founding Titan, this is all over. So he rushes in. Gets his fucking legs instantly chopped off by Mikasa.
Yeah, Mikasa was not fucking around. You're not getting the Eren.
And like, it's so good because obviously Eren's having an issue opening up the Warhammer Titan.
Yeah, they specifically established he can't smash it. Apparently, Annie's crystallization was harder than the normal hardening.
Yeah, which I guess maybe something cool about the female Titan, but
maybe.
But yeah, he's having a lot of difficulty smashing it open. But then as he's fighting, Porco's claws kind of go through a little bit, leave a scratch, and that gives Eren the old idea.
Yep.
So after Porco gets his legs cut off, Eren then grabs him. He goes in for the huge punch first.
Yeah.
Porco just looks up from his legs getting punched off and just a huge Titan punch, and then he rips off both of his arms individually.
Yeah, and then he picks him up and uses him like a nutcracker.
Yeah, just puts the thing in the mouth and just slowly pushes down. Porco's just like, no, please stop, no, and just smashes it, and then Eren just fucking standing over top, just drinking the blood as it pours into his mouth.
Yeah, I was always kind of curious about that. Like, do you have to eat the actual physical body, or is the blood enough? Like, what happens if you eat half and half?
I think the physical body was just kind of turned into the mush that went into Eren's mouth.
I know, they show it shatter with the crystal. My question is, like, what happens if the Jaw Titan ate some of it?
That's what I was wondering, too. Maybe whoever eats the biggest percentage.
Yeah, maybe it's whoever eats the brain, maybe whoever eats the heart.
Eren should have just crushed it into the Jaw Titan's mouth and then taken a bite of the Jaw Titan, like a 2-for-1 special.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, there is a classic anime one for that. Obviously, Eren has the Jaw Titan in a very easily eatable spot. He literally is about to clamp down in his jaws. And
Well,
then-
before that, he just took a few moments to just beat him into the ground.
yeah,
Just to really rub it in.
yeah, just to really finish him off. He wanted to take a couple extra seconds. At this point, you're seeing Gabby and Falco from the window just losing all hope, and that's where
Yeah.
they just start shouting for Reiner. They're like, Reiner, help! Like, Porco's about to die. They're like, Reiner, help! And they're just like shouting it.
Yeah, Peak is on the ground, bleeding out behind them.
Zeke's on the ground. We don't even know if he's alive at this point.
I'm willing to bet he pulled the same shit Reiner did. He's dispersed into his nervous system.
Yeah, we're assuming he's alive, but either way, he's not currently fighting. They're all kind of fucked, and that's why they're just shouting for Reiner as their last hope to help them. And even though, obviously, just like the classic anime moment, because these kids need him, Reiner gets the will to live just to save them. It is kind of funny when they're like, Reiner, help, and then it just goes to his head. He's like, shut up.
Yeah, I was wondering. He's like, what's he going to say? It's like, no, okay.
So yeah, then right as Eren is about to take a big bite of the Jaw Titan, there's an explosion, a Titan transformation from behind him, and like every other classic anime or anything in the world, Eren doesn't just go for a bite. He has to take a look around first.
Yeah.
When he clearly could have just taken a quick bite and then turned around. And
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's this small worry, like maybe the card Titan just transforms going for the back of his neck while he's biting it, but
I mean, maybe, yeah. But as it turns around, you see a very different looking Reiner.
yeah, different hairstyle, different armor. It was a lot spikier than I remember.
He was a lot spikier. His face looked a little bit different. It didn't have the same like strong face I feel like it normally has.
Yeah, it doesn't have as much armor as either.
The hair matched the Reiner's current hair, which it might have when he first showed up in episode 1.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, but it looked like a different, like it looked way more white or platinum than the blonde that he normally has.
I mean, I think that might be lighting in the animation style.
I guess his hair looked kind of white when it was the shave style when he was a Titan before too.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is it's kind of supposed to make him look more haggard. I think that goes into the face as well, which I feel like did it have the mouth like accentuated on when you looked at it?
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
It made me think of like the Squidward meme where he's supposed to be handsome.
The handsome Reiner.
That's
Handsome
what I was
Reiner
thinking.
type means incoming. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious when I give like a second watch or when I go in and take some pictures. I'm excited to actually like pause when they show him and kind of compare him to like even episode 1 and then obviously last season Reiner. But
like,
they're clearly squaring us off for another cool MMA fight.
Yeah, because I mean that's all. I mean, there's a chance we're going to see some Warhammer Titan stuff in this one too.
I don't. We don't understand. Obviously, Eren has eaten the Warhammer Titan, and as viewers, we're pretty confident he now has the power. But is that something he just immediately has and knows how to use?
Like, we don't know what Eren's been doing over the last little while because he hasn't been cooperating with the Scout Corps from what we can see.
Not well enough, anyways. He's sending them some letters and stuff, but this plan didn't seem like it was
it seemed
fully
like
thought through.
Yeah, it seemed like he sent somebody who was here, like, infiltrating a letter saying, like, hey, I'm about to fuck shit up if you guys want to help.
Yeah.
But
we don't know if he's like, if he can immediately just use the Warhammer Titan. But yeah, I'm really still just hoping we had a nice, because that was one of the coolest Titan fights, was just that straight up MMA fight when he first learns about Reiner.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we get another one of those. Obviously, it seems like you almost want to cheer for Reiner at this point, but
it's hard because Eren is still technically the protagonist.
he is. He's kind of an asshole right now, obviously.
Like,
but
yeah, he's kind of gone down that anti-hero sort of villain route. At the same
he's
time, he
lost
has
a lot of emotions. He's kind of just given up. He's just like, I just want to kill everyone.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you kind of see why, because he learned that these people have been murdering his people for no reason. That his mom died because some assholes we don't like you.
He's forgiven them though, at least.
I mean, he has. And he's just like, I forgive you. Now I'm gonna murder your entire freaking country.
I do think the next episode is probably going to be the last action episode in this small little arc, if you can call it that. I think after that, they're going to escape on the blimp, and then we're going to have a couple more talking and planning episodes, more interaction between Eren and the rest of the scouts as we kind of learn more about what's happened in the past 4 years.
Because even in the preview, it does show the scouts kind of being rough with them, and so I don't think they're on the best of terms.
Yeah, the preview is the one thing we always typically watch. That it was called like Assassination Plot or something along those lines.
Assassin's Bullet, I think it was.
Yeah, which is anyways, it's hinting to Gabby going for the assassination on Eren. I can't imagine that works out for her. If anything, I think she might be captured.
Oh, definitely.
And this is maybe Gabby. And we thought Falco had the chance of joining this one side, but it's possible maybe we can turn Gabby.
I mean, I think the thing is, Falco's kind of shown that he's not down with this at this point. He's just straight up pissed.
Yeah, I thought, if anything, originally when you think that Falco would, obviously he'd be pissed when he first learns, but maybe he'd learn to understand, because he even saw how Reiner admitted that what he did was wrong and that kind of stuff. So maybe you can kind of take pity on Eren. But yeah, at this point, it just seems like he's not going to forgive him for all this shit going on. It seems
Yeah.
like Gabby also won't, but that's where they might twist it. As originally we thought there's a chance Falco would swap sides. Maybe they actually twist it, and Gabby's going to swap sides, and then Falco does take over the Armor Titan.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Falco takes over the Armor Titan here because we know Reiner's probably going to lose the fight.
Yeah, I like Reiner, and obviously we don't want some characters who like to die. But I've mentioned this before. It's kind of like the last seasons of Game of Thrones. If we give too many main characters plot armor, it kind of takes away from the thing. And what they do is to keep up that edgy persona of like, hey, we'll kill anyone anytime. They typically just kill off a bunch of side characters.
Yeah.
But I think we do need to lose a main character, especially in such a huge battle. It would just be kind of silly if Zeke makes it out fine, Peak makes it out fine, Porco makes it out fine.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Peak dies. I know she's a fan favorite, but the condition she's in, if they need the Card Titan, I could see them passing it on.
Yeah, that's
But
possible, but
at the same time, I don't see the Card Titan being one you give to a main character.
nobody would want that one.
No offense to people who love the Card Titan, but even just looking at it, it's not the one you would give to a protagonist.
I mean, people don't like the Card Titan. People like Peak. So
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that I think that she'll be fine. She'll recover from this. I think only one person's going to die, and if I had to guess, I'd have to assume it's going to be Reiner.
Yeah, it's going to be Reiner, or they might kill Zeke and use that as inspiration to get Reiner to stop trying to kill himself.
Yeah, Zeke is the other option, and then Reiner has to be kind of like the new leader now that Zeke's gone. But I just feel like Zeke is not one you would want to give away without having someone take over. Obviously, they might not have the option.
I mean, there's a chance that he's going to be recovering, but he's going to be beyond saving. So they might have Falco eat him as it is.
Well, if they're
And then
going
he
to
inherits those memories.
I feel like if they're going to get someone to eat him, they would probably still use Colt. Unless Colt dies before this time, then Falco has to.
Do we
eat
know
him.
where Colt is?
He's alive, as far as we know. As far as we know, yeah. But obviously, Colt is the one supposed to inherit him. So there's a chance. But even whoever does inherit him, without the royal blood, they're not going to be as strong as Zeke. But
Yeah,
they've already hinted
definitely,
at
but they
multiple
don't know
times.
that.
Yeah, what Zeke's obviously hinted at multiple times. The reason he is so much better than all the other Beast Titans have ever been is because that royal blood he has.
Yeah. Which, I mean, at the same time, if Zeke is dying and there's no time to actually get Colt, passing him off to Falco would be the next best option.
Well, passing him off to whoever is currently there, that is a good option, right?
I
So you
mean,
don't have to randomize it with a baby in 10 years.
Exactly. So
That's a possibility. If I had to put my main guess, though, it'd still just be that Reiner's going to die and pass it on to Falco. I think Gabby's going to be captured, and then it's possible that we get some sort of somehow they turn Gabby, or it's just she's like that prisoner who is constantly fighting back. And
seeing Falco head up a counterattack, trying to get Gabby back, I think would be a very on point plot point.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, at the same time, that also brings in the question: between Beast and Armor Titan, who do you think they're going to give to a protagonist?
I don't know. I want to say Armored at this point because Reiner's been very main character, especially in this season so far.
Yeah, he's been very. Even before it was revealed that it was the Armor Titan, he was very driven to the
Armor
plot.
Titan looks cooler than Beast Titan. It's just
exactly.
a fact.
It's a lot easier to market and put a cool thumbnail of an Armor Titan than it is of the Beast Titan.
Yeah, the Beast Titan is not a very attractive Titan. That's for sure.
He is effective, and he's an interesting character. He is not the leading man, though.
Yeah, plus just by the fact that they've hinted that the reason Zeke is so good is because of the royal blood, and we don't have any other characters with royal blood other than Historia, and Historia is not becoming a fucking Titan.
True.
I think that if anything means that there's not going to be they're not going to pass on the Beast Titan. I think he's going to, when Zeke dies, I think it's going to be his death. I think that we're just, because I don't think they would give someone the Beast Titan just to have this person be less powerful than him. I think that it's just going to end with Zeke. I think, well, obviously it'll be reborn if there's not some sort of plot that stops that at some point. But I just don't think we're going to see any current characters take over the Beast Titan, would be my guess. The Armor Titan, yes, because it's not going to get any worse than Reiner. It's already showed that Reiner wasn't even really that good when he was the first candidate, right? Just like Falco. So there isn't a better person to take over than Falco.
Yeah,
as far as characters go.
The only other argument you can make is because Falco is Reiner's cousin, correct?
No, Gabby's Reiner's cousin.
Okay, Falco is Colt's
Brother.
Yeah, okay. I knew he was related to either Reiner or Colt.
Yeah, he's Colt's younger brother.
Just mixing them up.
Yeah, and then Reiner is Gabby's cousin.
Because the thing is, I don't think Colt's family has ever had a Titan before, correct? He's just a candidate?
Yeah.
So what if it turns out that they have the royal blood as well? Because everyone we've seen with royal blood so far has been blonde, just like them. I know it's kind of a stretch.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of... because Reiner's blonde, but that's also because he's half Marleyan. And we've seen a decent amount. I mean, Marley, we've seen either blonde or brown hair for Marley. It's pretty even all across.
It's very, very Central Europe.
But at the same time, Reiner's mom is also blonde. as they've shown multiple times. And
I know. I've noticed that trend between all the different royal bloodlines we've seen, so that is a possibility they might break that card out.
it's possible. It wouldn't be that shocking, but yeah, I think that the Beast Titan, when Zeke dies, is going to be the end of the Beast Titan. And at this point, I'm going to guess that that Falco gets the Armor Titan probably at the end of the next episode or the beginning of the one after that, and then we're going to get a Gabby's captured while trying to assassinate Eren, and then maybe she's turned, which would be kind of cool, because who would like to see deal with Gabby now that they've already established a bond? Her and Sasha. Because not only does Gabby have the gun, but she also had that eye-to-eye stare at Sasha when Sasha killed those guards she was friends with. So I think they're going to have that like master you want to kill kind of vibe, but who's also teaching you a little bit.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. Based on the amount of raw hatred that's coming out of Gabby at this point, I don't know if they're going to be able to turn her.
Listen, have you watched Finland Saga?
Unfortunately not. That's on my to-watch list.
The entire plot is just that the main kid, he's being trained and wants to kill the guy who killed his father. So, but he wants to do it in a semi-honorable way. So,
yeah, I don't think Gabby gives a shit at this point.
I'm excited to see where they go with it, though. Obviously, they have to use Gabby and Falco because they're the only two that survived, like the little 4 we introduced to, and one has to become the Armor Titan mainly, and then the other one has to do something. So, I'm excited to see what we get from the other character.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, we'll find out more next week when the next episode airs. We'll be talking about that, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're here watching Attack on Titan, like all the other shows, just let us know down below. Still curious just to see what percentage of people watching are watching which show.
Yeah, definitely. Knowing who's here for what kind of helps us determine what to talk about in what order, too.
Yeah, or even how long to talk about them. We don't want to be taking 45 minutes on, Promise Neverland if we only have 2 people watching it kind of thing. So yeah, it's just interesting. Let us kind of keep track of what we're doing, what we're talking about. So yeah, just let us know down below. And if you have any thoughts, theories, anything like that on Attack on Titan, of course, just put them down below in the comments. As always,
everything's appreciated. It's just a quick little, hey, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
We're always happy.
I love when people tell me I'm doing a good job.
If you've had problems with the Jujutsu Kaisen Reddit as well, feel free to let us know about it. And
yeah, we talked about this a couple different times for different shows, but the Reddits are still kind of crazy because I think the Attack on Titan Reddit in general has like way more people than any other Reddits on here. But I often, I'll get a couple upvotes, but no one really comments on it. I don't know how many people are here watching Attack on Titan. And then we didn't start getting this big growth until we posted on something like the Kumodesu one.
Kumodesu was definitely the turning point.
Yeah, just a crazy light novel following. But it's crazy. Like Attack on Titan's got so many more people, but
they also have so many more people talking about it. So
I guess, yeah, that's true. But yeah, if you were here watching any of the shows, leave us a comment down below as to which shows you were watching and even why, just so we can know why people want to see them in the future.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it for the episode, though. So yeah, if you like this, leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Obviously helps it get a little bit more views. We're just trying to get to the next step. We hit that 100 subs, so we'll be coming up with that Q&A special at some point. Next step will be 1,000.
Yep.
So that's gonna probably take a little while, but we're gonna push through and get there.
Yep. For the Q&A, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below as well. We're still kind of putting that together, so a few extras aren't going to hurt. So
yeah, and as I said, it doesn't have to be one question; it can be multiple. It doesn't have to be anime related; it can be anything else. It can be about manga, it can be about personal stuff, and it doesn't have to be the deepest question in the world. You can literally say, "Hey, what poster do you have behind you, and why do you have that poster?" And I'll give you the whole fucking story about how I bought this poster. So yeah, if you can have any questions about how the setup is, what we use, the technology we use, all that kind of stuff. It can be anything at all. So just let us know down below. As always, though, guys, I've been Cam.
I've been Jimmy.
And take it easy, guys. We'll see you next week for episode number 20.
Peace.
Peace, guys.